culture and entertainment, but more specifically, pop culture entertainment. I'm your host, Will the Greatest, and with me, I have my regular co host, the real Alexander. You want to say what's up to the people, man?
What's up? What it do? Good to be back on the pod.
Yeah, it's been about a month and a half since we last recorded. We've been having issues trying to get the audio to go through, and I hope it does because that was our top 10, and I really like that conversation.
It was a really
Uh,
good one.
we have like a third of it. And so it's like worst comes to worst, I will chop up and do what I can with it. I'm hoping it doesn't come to that, but we'll see. And that's why we didn't have an episode in February. Because I wanted to get it out before the Oscars. Oh god, yeah, we can talk about that, I guess, a little bit briefly. But yeah, I mean, just
Mhm.
like checking in. They technically haven't heard because I'm gonna put this up before the other one. They haven't heard from us in a couple months. So how have you been doing, man? I know we talked earlier, but how are you doing?
Yeah, I've been all right. Gone through some life transitions and changes, but also watching some really good TV and some good and then some not so good movies. But I would say overall, I'm doing all right. I'm floating. I'm staying afloat, man. How about yourself? How
Hey,
you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, it's like life is staying busy. Working on some other fun stuff that we were talking about earlier, so I'm hoping to finish that this week. Yeah, just a lot of stuff is taking up my time, but not in like a bad way. It's like I'm actually having to like, I'm working out really consistently now, so that feels really good. Work is steady. Um, yeah, it's just doing adult shit, kind of, and just trying to maintain, and then having plans and responsibilities, and just trying to make stuff happen. But good, good reports on this end. Yeah, so let's light this candle. Uh, you want to talk briefly about the Oscars a little bit before we get into we're gonna do a best to worst today, so that'll be fun. But
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, I watched it live. I was at
you
a little
did.
Oscar party. We had like these Vanity Fair, not bingo cards, but like
Mhm.
all the categories and the winners, and like we would check them off and whatnot. And I would say I did okay.
Okay,
I mean, I wouldn't qualify it as passing, but like for the major categories, I feel like I did pretty decently. Out of 23, I got 11 right, and the highest
that's pretty
person.
good. That's about half.
It's about half. I got the production ones right. Some of the acting categories were way off, but I'm proud to say that this is the first year I've seen every single Best Picture nominee, which I
Okay,
am proud of. And yeah, I liked all of them
should be.
for the most part. I liked all of them, loved some of them, and
Yes,
the ones that I did love got recognition, at least
yes.
in some form. They didn't win Best Picture, but some of them got Best Acting. Like I loved Holdovers, I loved American Fiction, and I
Mhm.
loved Poor Things. Those are probably
Yes,
my three top ones for this year. And yeah, all those movies got awards.
yeah.
And Oppenheimer swept, and I liked Oppenheimer. It wasn't I didn't love it, but I thought it was good.
It yeah,
Christopher Nolan got his due this year, so I'm like, okay, it's like
yeah.
it's time that he got one, so we'll give him one.
Yeah, it was kind of a case. People were. I think the funniest joke was that it's crazy to think that a movie and its own sequel both got awards this year with Oppenheimer and Godzilla minus one. Um, yeah, I didn't have a chance to see it, but we were definitely talking about it because you were watching it. I was helping my partner, just around their apartment with some stuff, but I was like following THR's Instagram to see like who was winning what, and you saw me kind of wig out a little bit over the animation win, over
So
the boy
dumb,
in the
bro.
hair, and because I was like,
Criminal crimes.
it's
It's not better than
uh,
Spider Verse. I'm sorry, it's
it's
not.
not. It's like I'm biased because Spider Man is one of my favorite characters of all time. I freely admit that, but I do legitimately think Across did a better job as an animated film in terms of moving the medium of animation forward than
Mhm.
Miyazaki. It's not that Miyazaki did anything bad. It's in my opinion, uh both. his most experimental and his weakest work of the movies that I've seen by him. I've probably seen a third of his projects. I've seen a good amount of his stuff. A lot of the older projects. You know, I think I started Castle of Cagliostro a while back. That's his first one. But yeah, we talked about it off air forever ago. But I remember seeing it with my partner. I think the title sucks and doesn't really give you what it's really about. And there's another movie
Very
we'll get to
vague.
later that has that same problem. Um, but
Yep.
it's like, you know, it's like losing to the best Scorsese movie. Like, yeah, I think someone else should have won. I know a lot of people were also rooting for Nimona, which I think that would have been pretty impressive too. I didn't see it, but I heard great things.
Like
Especially with like non-binary representation and all that was cool. And I heard the animation was actually pretty good, and it was another adaptation based off an indie comic book, so that would have been an impressive win, honestly. But it's like losing to it's on par with losing to the worst Scorsese movie. Still a fucking Scorsese movie. He's still a legend. Miyazaki's a legend. You know, of all the times he's been nominated, I think he's won one of like four.
was
And
it
I think
Spirited Away?
Spirited Away was, yeah, that was the one that won, and that was like
Great.
2002. Which, like, fantastic movie, timeless. That is like
It
one
doesn't
of his
hold a
best.
Boy in the Heron doesn't hold a candle to that movie.
I don't think it does because I think it's less. You know, a lot of people were discussing the themes, and I got the themes of like grief and reflection and processing and kind of letting go and moving forward. I just don't think it worked. I will say this: Robert Pattinson deserves something for his performance.
Oh, he was fantastic in it.
He was absolutely
Unrecognizable.
phenomenal. Absolutely. I had no idea. I knew it was him because I knew the cast, but had you not told me, I wouldn't have believed you. It was
I
on
need
par.
I need to see that man in the booth because I don't believe that's
Yeah.
him.
I need to see what those videos were like because it's rare that you get to see that out of a talent. And there's another movie we'll talk about later where I got that, where I thought it was another actor performing something. But no, I mean the Oscars were fine. I'm glad. I was excited that Godzilla won. Minus one won best VFX. The Oppenheimer sweep, it just kind of felt like a safe choice, but I'm glad American
Yeah,
Fiction won
yeah, that's
for
it's
adapted
adapted.
screenplay. So congratulations to them, and the speech he gave was good. Uh, it's like score and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just the I'm surprised actually that um Killers of the Flower Moon, they didn't walk away with anything, did they?
I don't think they won shit. I don't think that
Which
movie got
I'm
a
like,
goddamn thing.
I thought that would have been a shoe in. I figured that'd be more of a shoe in than Oppenheimer. And I heard that it seemed like Lily Gladstone, I think is the actress's name, was like neck and neck with Emma Stone for that
Yeah,
best
she's the other
actress.
favorite.
Yeah, and Emma looked confused. She's like, "What?" Which, but I mean, good for her. She did a fantastic job in Poor Things. It was like almost anyone's game, but there were two clear leads in that one. Um, I do kind of
I
wish
don't know. I
that,
saw Maestro and I thought Carey Mulligan was great as well in her role.
okay,
So I feel like nobody saw that movie, so nobody
that's
appreciated at least the
true.
acting.
I don't think anyone saw Maestro, and I guess we've been seeing the downward spiral of Bradley Cooper apparently off.
I thought Bradley Cooper was great as Leonard Bernstein. I don't care what anybody says. Like I thought Killian Murphy was good, but I feel like as far as like capturing somebody and like transforming, I think Bradley Cooper should have won that role. Should have won
I
that
think,
award.
you know, I think Killian Murphy did a fantastic job. I'm honestly surprised Downey won because he was best supporting actor, is what he
Yeah, but
got.
everybody, he was best supporting actor. But I feel like a lot of people called it. Hell, fucking what's his name? Sterling K. Brown. He even called it. He was like I'm happy to be nominated, but this is Robert Downey Jr.'s award.
He did call that, which that is a gracious way to say that it's like I want it, but I'll be honest, like I'll be,
Right. I
which I'm
appreciate
just like,
his
what a
humility
wise man, what a good way to lose with grace.
with dignity. Right.
Yeah, no, Downey. I mean, Downey was really good in Oppenheimer, but you know, it's like I'm fine. I'm cool on it. I have no the the only way I would watch Oppenheimer again, honestly, is watching it until basically the epilogue part, so about 2 hours and 15, and then I would immediately switch. I'd watch it to the bomb and then watch Godzilla minus one, and then watch After the Bomb. I legitimately think if you cut that together, you have it like and do not regular Godzilla minus one. Do they have one
Black
called
and white
Godzilla
one.
minus color that's in black and white. So
Yeah,
do
I haven't seen that.
Oppenheimer. I haven't seen it either, but can you imagine? It's like stitch that or edit it like it's Oppenheimer and switch between the colored and black and white versions. Stitch that in the middle of Oppenheimer. That's the only way you can get me to watch again. And it would be like a 5 hour epic talking about like destruction and consequences. And so it's like do that, you get the bomb, you do Godzilla minus one, and then the fallout. And then I think you actually have a fantastic, perfect movie that's like 4.5 hours long.
I would watch it.
I would
I would have.
actually watch that like unironically if somebody like did it and then it's like the bomb happens and then you just see like the plane flying um from like uh not Pearl Harbor, wherever the bomber was coming from, and onto that island. And it's like the bomb happens, you see the flash, and then it's just plain. And then you're in Godzilla minus one. And then you get the like the sonic boom and the fallout, and then the rest of Oppenheimer. That would be genius.
That'd be cool. Someone edit that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
someone
get on.
someone put that shit together. Yeah, it's I don't know. I guess because it didn't really stand out to me. I wasn't expecting it to sweep, but it's like it all seemed like safe choices for it seemed like it would have been anybody to me, but it's like, yeah, Oppenheimer because people, just want to give uh
One.
yeah, his due credit, which I'm like, okay, fine, good for him. Like it is like a well directed movie, so
Yeah, he got his one. He got his shit. So we'll see what happens next year because there's some interesting ones coming
yeah,
out this year that I'm looking forward to. Granted, we
yeah,
don't know
those are
all,
good. Those are,
but we got some good ones on the horizon for sure.
yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, we're doing worst to best. So there is one that we have already seen that I was really excited for, and we'll get to
Right.
that later because
We have some good ones on the horizons, and we've had some shit ones behind us.
got Jesus Christ. I'm just minor aside because we'll get into Madam Web. I'm really hoping Ghostbusters is good. Shout outs to Celeste O'Connor because Sony just has her by the ovaries in two completely different universes. And I'm
Damn.
hoping that Frozen Empire is good. It looks good. I'm excited for it. I'm actually really excited for it. I don't want to be let down again. The last two times I've been in theaters, it has made me it's made me pissed. It's pissed me the fuck off. I walk out the theater mad. I'm like, I want my money back. And I only spent 53 cents for each one. So,
Damn.
yeah. All right. Let's get into Madam Stink. Um, can can I? Okay, because I've told you this, and I think I talked with our boy Cole about this too.
Because yeah, we haven't spoken about this movie. We
We
both seen
haven't.
it. We've
We've
texted,
both
but we haven't
seen it.
verbalized it.
Yeah, we texted during the movie because I was the only one there until randomly in the middle, like some kids showed up and just like hung out and watched. I'm like, what a weird way to spend a Thursday. But and we had like I was flying questions at you back and forth while I was watching it because it was so fucking bad. Can I say something though, like production wise, that bothers me, at least as far as the marketing of this? And I know Sony doesn't care about this movie. I know they don't. I know they don't give a shit.
No, they
They
they had to release it. They didn't want to put the embargo out, so you know it was gonna be trash.
Yeah, it's like there was no embargo. The
But they held the
BTS.
embargo.
So what?
They held they held the embargo to the last minute to
Yeah,
try to
yeah.
help the movie.
Which that's a telltale sign that's probably dog shit.
Yep.
Is holding that embargo to like a day or so before. Um, Marketing fucking sucked. The production. went through a bunch of, well, for starters, they hired two scriptwriters that have written consistently. Their best movie is Power Rangers 2017.
Oh, wow.
Arguably, it's between that and Dracula Untold. These are the
And I saw
directors
that
of
movie one time in theaters, and I've not seen 2017, um, Power Rangers again.
it's. I watched it in college and I liked it. But if that's your best movie and you're the writers of Gods of Egypt
Ooh.
and
Didn't they write Morbius too?
they did the writers of
Oh,
Morbius and Dracula Untold, just
ooh.
it's like 0 for 6. Um, like the writing was on the wall that there was going to be dog shit. But you know what kind of bothers me, and this is, I think because like I saw it fresh coming off like my first paid acting gig where I was doing some work a couple hours out on somebody's like student film, that they're presenting, and I was like really excited. I was working with a lot of talented people. It was a super small cast. It was three of us, but like the crew was really nice for a bunch of like people in their early 20s, and everyone was like passionate. Everyone was inspired. And I think that's why it bothered me how Dakota Johnson has been like anti promoting this film. And it's just, it just bothers me because I'm like, why? You got to work, you got to eat, you got to get paid, make your money. I just, it makes it hard to respect somebody who can't even pretend to take pride in it. But
Yeah. Well,
that
it
also,
seems like had that snarkiness about her. She had that pretending, like, she lied about liking comic book movies, and she was like, "You're gonna love Madam Web. In fact, you're gonna see it twice." I'm like, "I don't if you don't believe that shit, that's gonna haunt you, especially
I'm like,
knowing how trash it is universally."
and it's like, I, again, this is me, and I'm biased because the only things I've ever seen her in are the 50 Shades movies. I haven't seen her in a Suspiria yet, because I want to watch the original and then the new one. But like, I don't know if you have the range to be making jokes like that. I'm sorry. That's
Ah!
my opinion. That's my personal opinion, and I'm sorry
You don't have the range to be making jokes like that.
because it just reads like you just kind of suck. But I get it. She has a right to feel that way. She's the lead, and they gave her fuck all to work with. So of course she's not gonna give like any effort. It's they tricked her and cast her in some bullshit, you know, and you have to act in it. You got to commit to it now because you're under contract. But she like fired um her management team after the first trailer dropped, which that's another clear sign that your movie is dog shit. But like when I saw it and I saw the other little girls who had straight up nothing to work with, I'm like, but they're trying. They have chemistry with each other, at least. It looks like they're like trying to do something with nothing. And you can't, as an actor, you can only work with what you have. I have been very blessed on this brief projects I've had that all the directors I have are very, very amicable. They're very kind. They're very open to suggestion. Not everybody gets that opportunity. I don't know. This is a first time film director. She was a TV director, so she probably got like a shit ton of studio meddling. But it just irked me because people were like, "Oh yeah, her performance is like so bad it's funny." I'm like, "No, it's just bad. It's flat, boring, uninterested in any of the
I don't
material."
wanna be there.
Yeah, it's like you
Yeah,
just don't. And it's not just in the performance, but then it carries to the marketing. I'm like, this doesn't this doesn't make me. I want to see people like excited about doing their art because I've done it for free and I'm probably going to have to do it for free a little bit more until I can get more opportunities to get paid. And that's how it goes for a little bit, unless you can benefit from nepotism like she kind of has. But I look at like the other three other actresses, I'm like, oh yeah, y'all probably had to like fight some shit, except for maybe Sydney Sweeney, who I don't think she's she might be a dynasty person, but she still works. She's been putting in work for a while to at least get her name to be like well known. But like Isabella Merced, she's going to be in the DCU as Hot Girl, so she's going to have a future. Celeste O'Connor, she's going to be in the new Ghostbusters movie, and I'm hoping it's good. She was fine with the 15 minutes she had in Afterlife, so I'm hoping she gets more to do. But it's like, yeah, I'm like, I see energy, I see potential in them, and then I see Dakota Johnson there sleepwalking her way through a film as the lead all over the marketing for this bullshit that didn't need to exist, that nobody asked for, that has a incomprehensible villain. Why did you hire a French actor? You did that man completely dirty. All of his 90% of his dialogue was ADR. That felt
I
that
noticed
felt
that.
so rude to me. Where it's like, what? That's that's like you get me for a Spanish movie knowing I can't speak Spanish. And I'm like,
Right.
"Hola, me llamo Miguel." And then just afterwards, we'll fix it in post. That is that's so fucking disrespectful to that guy because I can't even know if he's a good actor because half of the shit is all done in post. That's not fair
It's
to
all done
him.
in right, it's half of it's most of it's done in post, and whenever he's talking, it's not on him, and it's so funny because I watched it and I didn't know that that was, like, a complaint that people had. I was just like, "This motherfucker's mouth isn't moving when he's talking."
I
It
saw
just
that
it
too,
doesn't
and I gaslit
but I
myself.
didn't
I'm
know
like,
that that was, like, a thing that people were talking about. I just watched it and I was like, "This shit's weird," and I saw it,
right.
in an altered state. So, the movie was really bad as I was watching it, but I was also having fun, like, it was like, "This is fucking dumb," but I'm enjoying how dumb it is. I'm like, "Oh, this is" because the plot was so thin, a lot of stuff didn't make sense
He
while you were
has no
watching it.
motivation.
We're going
Zero,
spoilers, of course, right?
full spoilers. Full
Oh
spoilers.
yeah,
No one
fuck
gives a
no.
shit.
We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about everything.
It
Um,
makes no
where did we
sense.
begin? First of all, I knew we were in for a rough time from the beginning. There's two tells, right? One of them was a really bad ADR when she was having contractions, and like it does a hard cut, and she's like ah, but you can tell it's not coming out of her mouth. It was just really
I
odd.
think I did see that.
It was
I think I
really
saw
rough.
that.
I was like, what the? I
It's
turned to my
like,
friend. I was like, what the fuck was that?
it's
And
been
then
5 minutes.
it's been 5 minutes, and then the other part where it starts doing the smash zooms like The Office to the characters,
I did
and I
see
was
that.
like, "What is this?" Because at first I thought there was a character that was like filming with them, like it was mockumentary. I'm like, no, that's just the movie doing that, and then it
Yeah.
doesn't do it for the rest of the movie until the very end of it. I was like, that was a really weird choice. That was a
Th-
really odd decision they made with that.
This movie is borderline incomprehensible.
It's
Shit
baffling.
just doesn't make sense. There's uh narrative inconsistencies,
Hmm.
um timeline fuck ups all over
Yep.
the place. Like I clocked because I remember in the trailer the dude had the PSP, and I'm like, okay, so this movie at least takes place in like 2006, and then it's like 2003. I'm like, he's a time traveler, I guess. All right, unless he went to Japan the December that it came out and came back to New York. Um, she goes to Peru and comes back. Even at the beginning, okay, so this pregnant woman gets shot for a spider for some reason. Couldn't just take the spider. Had to kill the pregnant lady, I guess. Um,
Had no choice.
they save the baby. 30 years later, she's a EMS in New York. How the fuck did she get back to America? Who took her? Who
It's
raised
the
her?
fuck out of
Who
me.
are her
Who
parents?
raised this
Her mama
woman?
dead. Like, never.
Who her daddy?
Yeah,
Like,
like, where did daddy at? Who knows? You know, how the fuck does the Society of Spider People have contemporary clothing? I thought they lived in the jungle. What's up with that?
right, or one of them has contemporary clothing out of
Yeah,
nowhere.
yeah. He just has it.
You know what's something are we going chronological order? Are we just talking about this shit?
We're just yapping.
Okay, so
We can
something
do
I
some
noticed
chronological if you
as I
want
was
to, but
in the
go ahead.
movie, something I
Hmm.
noticed as I was in the movie, these motherfuckers, well, one, she was on the train, right? She gets on the train to help the girls. Then she steals a cab. I don't remember if it was before she stole the cab or after the point she steals the cab, but she's now on the run from the police. One, there's an article that comes out the same
The same
day.
day in the newspaper. They don't
in the
print that fuck they don't print that fast now.
So they're time travelers, I guess. A time traveler was in the bar, but also she then takes them to Uncle Ben's house or Ben Parker's house, and they refuse to say Peter Parker have any connection, even though they tease it like wink wink, but it's not funny. But then
Yeah.
she goes to Peru while she's on
Yes.
the run from the police in 2003. I'm like, this
Y
doesn't make any sense.
she goes to Peru in post 9/11 America, and she steals not only does she steal a taxi cab, which is a registered vehicle, somebody owns it, they can find it, but then she pops the license plate off and then, like, drives hours into the backwoods of New York with no license plate in a taxi cab.
In a taxi cab
Like,
while
that's
she's
not the
on the
most
run.
suspicious shit, and she's on the run. Also, the cops. Is the evil not Spider-Man? Is he invisible? Can they see him? The cops kinda drop left and right. We don't know how the word gets out that the girls have been kidnapped. They've just
Also,
been kidnapped,
in the
and
midst
in
of
the
them getting
span of
kidnapped,
3 hours, it's everywhere.
also in the midst of them getting kidnapped, why is he taking out every cop but not his targets? Why is he?
Stopping
They're
for the
running in the
police,
subway. He's murking every cop but doesn't touch them whatsoever, which
he
makes
just
no
said,
sense.
"Fuck the police, I have priorities." But it's like, but they're
Well,
supposed to kill, and it's like, again, motivation makes no sense. It's like, I'm having nightmares every night that these three little girls. Oh god, that's a whole nother fucking thing. The face recognition technology from his dreams in
done.
2003. Like, here's the thing. There's suspension of disbelief, then there's fucking lying to me. And this movie is just fucking lying to me. Like, they're like,
Feeding
okay,
me
if
falsehoods
yeah,
to my face.
you're just bullshitting me at this point where it's like, oh yeah, there's this NSA technology that could track faces. Cool. I didn't know you could read dreams. Like, oh, what?
You must be one hell of a describer
How did you
to
describe that? Where it's just like, oh, it was a light skinned black girl with an afro. You live in New York. What was the other one? It was a Mexican girl with brown hair in New York. That could be anybody. That could
Okay,
be
okay, let's try
literally
this.
anybody. Who was
Let's
the
try
other
this
one?
third one.
A white blonde girl with blue eyes. You have described the entire population of New York in 3 sentences. You've described half the population. But they were teenagers. Okay, that number has gone down by what? 3%? How the fuck did they find him?
It doesn't. It's just it's
They didn't have
lazy.
Facebook. He couldn't
They
have
did not
searched
have
Facebook.
Facebook. You made
These
it a
were
point
teenage
to set it in 2003 for some fucking reason that makes
eh,
no sense.
well, we know why. It's because they wanted to make it Andrew Garfield, then they
But
changed their
even that
mind.
doesn't make sense if
I
it's Andrew
no,
Garfield.
because here's what you know what happened almost for certain. They originally wanted to make it Andrew Garfield, so it would have been set in the 90s. Then they changed their mind. They're like, well, let's bump it up to the 2000s and make it Tom Holland. And then they're like, oh, but we can't use Tom for some confusing as fuck reason. Maybe because Kevin was like, cut that shit out. And so they just kind of gave it an indiscriminate timeline in between. Because even if it was '03, he was 8 in Iron Man 2. That was 2010. The times don't add up.
The math doesn't math.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't have even put a year. They should have just said early 2000 and keep it vague. Or like
Yeah.
even with
2000X even would have been better than that
2000X.
shit.
There you go. There
You know,
you
you didn't
go.
even have to put a date. Just said is like, I think they do say 30 years later, but it starts in 1973. Don't give us time.
Right. And it's
Just say
misleading. The whole movie's misleading because we saw before the movie came out on ocean spray bottles in China, they're having them on display with their costumes. And these
which
motherfuckers are in their costumes for maybe 30 seconds in the
like
entire film.
you and me both knew they were only going to be in those costumes for 30 seconds. We know
Oh
how
yeah.
this goes.
Sure.
We know this game.
How
It's
Sony
Sony.
is.
Like,
Right.
we knew they would be in there for 30 seconds. Everybody who's familiar with game knows game when they see it. I'm like, man, these are some really cool costumes that we're not going to see at all throughout the movie.
There's
because
some
why would they
really
only show
repetitive
the
shots in
one
the trailers.
sequence? Yeah, it's like, boy, they're really plastering all 30 seconds of that over the trailer, and boy, you know what happened when you get to the movie? There was an extra 15 seconds at the end. And it's a shame because I actually don't mind the other costumes, but, like, no explanation of where they get their powers from. This was one long origin story for a bitch that nobody cares about. I'm sorry. I hate to be rude,
Nobody cares
but
about.
nobody gives a
But
fuck about Madam
also,
Web.
because it's the worst offense this movie does is like it teases the superhero movie it wants to be, and I don't know if it's aware of how bad it is because, like, okay, this is our introduction to the characters that have no character development or motivation, but this is our tease. So for next time, we're actually going to do the superhero stuff.
And it's like,
But
what fucking
well,
next
if
time?
if they're not superheroes, how are we going to have a third act finale? Because every blockbuster has to have a third act finale. I know we'll have her beat him with foresight.
And like that, and even that shit was hilarious where it's like, oh, when you learn how to master your powers, you can be in multiple places at once. And then she learns to do it. And I'm like, fucking punch her. And they just and it worked. I'm like, oh, okay.
But before that, you're missing something very important because before that, she hears the VO of this guy saying, "Once you have great responsibility, then you acquire the power."
I wish people could see my
Oh
face.
god, I died in
Here
the theater. I was like, "No, they
when
didn't."
when he said that line, I felt like I could bite through drywall. Cause it's like why Spidey? Why all the disrespect to him? What
What did
did
he do to
he
y'all?
what did he do? You know? Like
And it's wild. You know what's crazy to me? The most baffling part is that they're making all these movies to retain the rights to Spider-Man, right? They're
that's all
like
it is. It's
they're
spite.
leeching they're leeching off the teat of Spider-Man because they want to keep those sweet Spidey rights, right? But like the thing is, you're doing these movies like Morbius, you're doing these movies like Madam Web, but you're not making them of quality, which is costing you money because they're bombing. Because you're not doing it to make good stories, you're doing it because you need to keep an IP. And I'm like, well, if you actually took the time to write a story that's engaging with characters, not to say that something like Madam Web or something like Morbius couldn't be good, because I'm so
In
sure you can
theory.
take any supporting character as long as you give them heart and infuse them with a good story. You could launch a franchise off of that. It doesn't matter if they're known or if they're not known. What matters is if you tell a story that you give a shit about. But they're not doing that. Like I can easily see an alternate universe where we'll actually have engaging dark comedy Venom movies, and we actually have a
Yeah.
cool badass vampire movie, or we have this psychological thriller that they care about. But they're not. They're just like, all right, we're just gonna pump it out. We're just gonna get this over with because we know we got bigger fish to fry. We got Craven in the pipeline. We got Venom: The Last
And
Dance in the pipeline.
it pisses me off because like years ago on the old Marvel podcast, I said if Sony was smart, which this clearly shows that they aren't, they would capitalize on a missing opportunity and make an Aranya movie and make her the center of the universe. And they just folded her in. And you know, and what makes me especially mad, because and I did a TikTok about it that nobody asked for sometime after the movie out of anger. Because what this also shows me is that they it's not just that you're refusing to try. You have no interest in actually doing something slightly artistic, something slightly creative, um, that could actually work. I did in 10 minutes off the cuff of my fucking brain a Madam Web trilogy. It introduces Madam Web and she's fighting the inheritors. In the second, it's what did I call it? It was like Terminator meets Final Destination is the first one. The second one, Enter the Spider Women, you know, and then you have Madam Web, and I almost called her Dakota Fanning. Sydney Sweeney's character, you know, it's like Julia Carpenter, Madam Web dies halfway through, and then the girls get their powers that we alluded to in the first one with the whole foresight bullshit because she can see the future. And then you have the Spider Women, or maybe she disappears into the web of life or some shit, some bullshit. And
Mm.
you fight, and nobody gives a fuck. Nobody's gonna do anything with the inheritors. So use them. Do something interesting. You have a diverse, all women team. You can be the super feminism Spider Universe. You can piggyback off the laurels of fucking Spider Man, but you actively are choosing to do the least common denominator of effort, the lowest, most bottom fed, lazy shit, and you're dragging actual talented people, not the writers, but like the directors, the caterers, the costume designers, the concept artists, the actors, except for Dakota. But it's like the rest of the cast. Fucking Mike Epps. Why was he here?
Why was
You're
he there?
you're
For
dragging
what?
you're dragging them into bullshit, and you could do a Madam Web Spider Woman trilogy, and then you know what you do after that? They all have their own solo movies or TV shows on Amazon or animated series. You know what my teaser was at the end of the second one? You introduce Cindy Moon, and then she's fighting with the Spider Woman in the third movie, and they're fighting the inheritors, and they win, and Madam Web comes back and is like, "Get them, girls!" Or they talk to the queen of the spiders, the spider goddess. It's like, "Watch out!" And then you set up an Anya Corazon movie where she takes on like the goddess of wasps and the Wasp organization. Those are her villains. And then you set up Maddie Franklin as like more like a tech spider, and then Sydney Sweeney is maybe like a you do a detective, uh, a neo noir Spider Man. You could do all these things, but you choose not to, deliberately wasting people's time, money, energy, effort on nothing but bullshit. And these people don't deserve it. As much as I'm ragging on the writers and Dakota Johnson, they don't deserve this. They really don't. This is this feels disrespectful to the medium of film. And that is so hyperbolic, but that's just me being really emotional right now. I'm sorry, but this just like it's just studio bullshit to make them do it because we have a contract. And I feel insulted for everybody that partakes in this. And even the people I'm not a fan of, I hope they have positive futures. I don't wish misfortune on the cast and crew of this movie. I'm not mad at them because they weren't the ones contractually obligated. They're not doing this out of spite in the
No.
same way that the company is, and it disappoints me. It bothers me because Sony has 3 franchises under their belt, and they don't know what to do with a goddamn single one of them. They have Ghostbusters, they have Men in Black, they have Spider-Man. And time again, they've shown just consistent mishandling with their properties. And the only one that's come out relatively okay is Afterlife, because they let the director, who also wrote it, actually do something kind of creative. So
Yeah.
it's why was Mike Epps in this movie? Just to die in a stupid way that was easily
You get that
preventable,
check.
that didn't make any sense.
Mike Epps was there to get a bag and nothing more. He wasn't even in the movie that long. He got paid $2 million.
I
I don't
hope
know, maybe not that much, but he was like,
I
"Shit,
hope
I
he
got
gets
some
to
shit to pay
reinvest
off."
in his community with that money. I hope Mike Epps is doing okay because he didn't need to be here. You know who I hope is doing, and this is going to just lead me to a minor segue. I hope Adam Scott's doing well. I just watched
Me
Severance.
too.
If you haven't seen Severance, fantastic series. I
I need
think
to
you
go
would
check it
really
out.
like it.
I've seen I've seen the first few episodes. I can't remember why I fell off, but I really, really loved it. And I feel like part of me is like, do I just wait for season two and then binge it all like together?
I
Or
don't. I think they're filming it now, but I'd say it's 9 episodes.
I remember really loving it, so I think I need to
It's
come back. Maybe I'll watch it with my mom. We'll see.
yeah,
We'll see.
it's exceptionally well done and great commentary. Adam Scott's really the whole cast in that show is really good. It works really well. But oh, Adam Scott's good. Why was Emma what's her face in here? The other
Emma
Emma.
Roberts,
Yeah.
because they're trying to tease shit. They're trying to tease Spider Man. The thing, you know, what I'm pissed off about is that this movie could not have come at a worse time
No.
because me and you
We're
were
getting
in.
3
We're
Sony
in.
movies this year, aren't we? Or
We
did
are.
Craven get pushed?
Craven's this year, but Sony is a
Jesus
company
Christ.
aside. Sony is a company aside. Me and you keep up with comic book movie news, keep up with movie news, so
Mhm.
we're in the loop. But the vast majority of people who are going to these movies don't know the difference between Marvel and DC. So
Barely.
barely. So
At
and
best.
there's this
At best.
false narrative by fan bases that like it's Marvel versus DC. And granted, for a time, just from a large majority, Marvel was making better films than DC
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
But because of movies like this, right, and because of the state of the MCU at large,
Yep.
and what's happened with DC in the past few years, it's movies like this that cause people to believe that there's superhero fatigue.
Yes.
Because superhero fatigue, in my opinion, does not exist. It's
No,
quality fatigue.
it's
It's
bad
people
movie fatigue.
it's bad movie fatigue. People are comic book movies or comic book properties are putting out subpar content like Madam Web,
Yeah.
like some of these Disney Plus shows, like the Marvels, and like Aquaman, like Flash, and people are getting tired.
Sorry, I still
Like
haven't seen
all the
Aquaman
time.
2. I still
You
haven't
still ain't
finished
seen Aquaman
Echo.
2? You don't fucking
I
need to. I ain't finished Echo 2. Shit. Like, because we don't care, bro. Like, we used to be the diehards day one for Marvel. And now,
yeah.
like, I ain't finished Echo, bro. And that's Bob Chapek's fault. They literally came out with an article today, like, yeah, he
Yeah.
made us push out as much content as possible. And like they wanted to because Bob Iger wanted Disney Plus to be like one of the things that you can go to in the Disney brand, but then Chapek wanted to make it the thing that people go to. So like, all right, we got to pump up as much content as possible. But
Yeah.
anyway, this speaks to the larger thing of the poor quality of superhero movies. So when we have movies like this damages the genre as a whole, even though there's a bunch of subgenres was in it. And I'm just hoping that entering this new phase, we still have a couple ones we got to get through this year. We got Venom 3, we
Got
got
Craven.
Craven, and fingers crossed, don't know what to expect from Joker 2, and then we got Deadpool
Yeah.
3. Hope is good. So
Yeah. I hope
we got four more movies. Hopefully, at least half of them are good. And then starting in 2025, I think we're going to re-enter a new era of quality with Superman.
I am praying that we are. James Gunn seems really diligent about it. But yeah, I fully agree with just everything you're saying.
Also,
Yeah,
Sony, let Marvel just listen to Marvel. We don't need to go bigger and badder with this fucking redoing the lightning in a bottle that was No Way
absolutely
Home.
not.
We don't need to bring Andrew and Toby
Don't do
back.
it.
Let's just do a smaller Spider-Man movie that maybe has Daredevil in it, but let's get Spider-Man back to basics. That's what we
Mhm.
need. We don't need to like harp on the gimmick that he's in the MCU or that
So
he's going on vacation. Let's just tell a Spider-Man story with heart and it has struggle and
yeah,
drama, but and overcoming Peter's problems. Like that's what we need right now. We don't need
and
to go
like
bigger and badder. We need
and here's the
personal.
thing, to your point, it's a waste of money.
Yeah.
You're just burning money on stuff, and it's like, so
Does
even
it cost you more to make a good movie than it does a bad one? Because I feel like in the long run, a bad movie is going to cost you more money than a good movie is.
even if you try to treat it as like a tax write and to your point about, like, Spider-Man 4, 'cause those rumors are coming out, it's like Sony wants to make it another multiverse one, and Marvel doesn't, and I'm praying to God that Marvel gets their way on this one because, like you said, it's lightning in a bottle. It's not that they can't do it again. There's a time and a place. And it's not, it kind of loses its luster if you do it twice. I will give you an example. My mom just found out, I guess, because and she was very cross with me, that No Way Home and Across the Spider-Verse existed. She had not seen them
Oh,
this entire time.
what?
She somehow
Oh,
missed both. and got to experience that magic for herself for the first time. Don't know how she missed both of them. I I am almost positive I've talked
Wait, she
about.
didn't know No Way Home came out at all?
No, she didn't even see it. She's like, "What do you mean there's a third spider like movie? And what's this other one? This Spider-Verse." I'm just like, I'm like, "Yeah, girl." I'm like, "Did I not met okay." And so
Wait,
she
did she
loves
not know? Did she
she
not
didn't
know
know.
Toby and Andrew were in it?
I don't think so.
That's
So
amazing.
so she said she really enjoyed it. You know, and I'm glad because it's like my mom at superhero movies is the epitome of childlike wonder, but it also can tell me the quality of something because she didn't like Black Adam. So I'm like, oh, if my mom didn't like it, you have severely fucked up. You made a
Yeah.
bad movie. You made a bad movie.
And Black Adam also plays into that whole thing of, like,
Yeah,
us making quality. Also, the fact that No Way Home is actually a good movie is kind of a fucking miracle, because I feel
er,
like that easy
dude,
movie could have easily gone bad, and they were still rewriting that shit up until, like, the last minute.
they're rewriting that script on set. Like scripts live and breathe on a set, yes, but I think they were like changing plot points on set based off of like who they could get. They're like, okay,
Right.
we got one for if they show up and for one if they don't show up. How will things go? Because remember, there is a version of No Way Home with America Chavez.
Oh, yeah, huh?
Yeah, because
Oh,
it was
shit.
remember it was supposed to come out after Multiverse of Madness, and then the pandemic happened and production got wonky.
That's
So
right,
it's
but they
like,
never filmed that version, right?
no, I don't think so.
Okay,
Um,
I saw the concept art, though.
yeah, the concept art was cool, but yeah, no, so like just there is a way to and I said it in the video long ago. How do you do the live action multiverse thing again? One, you have Secret Wars coming up. That will be your next opportunity. Two, you have a third Spider-Verse movie. That will be your next opportunity. There are set times and places to do this. If you burn it too early, it doesn't work. Spider-Man is natively a grounded character. Even in Spider-Man 2, the biggest threat was the world, but where was it focused? New York. It was Queens. It was Harlem. It was two boroughs. That's it. That's where all of the action took place. Even like the symbiote bullshit that took over the cities, it was two boroughs. In Web of Shadows, it was one major city. It was a big ass city. It was one city. So it's like keep it small. It will keep your budget small. It will probably keep your team smaller. You will more than likely have to do less. Matter of fact, if you keep it small, you can do more scenes in the dark to cover up the CG. It will save you money. And Spider Man already is $1 billion franchise. It is a return on investment. It's just like, okay, I get Venom. Venom makes money. Make more Venom movies. I guess.
And hopefully, this is the
Craven and
last
Morbius.
one.
Yeah, The Last Dance. Oh boy, woo. Whatever could this one be about. But it's just like a Craven movie, a Morbius movie, Hypno Hustler. Why are we making movies about the villains? You would be better off making a Rocket Racer movie. You have all of the Spider people legally. You have them. You can do movies with them. And it's like, oh, we'll do
I'm
a.
not against. I'm not purely against villain movies, because I would not be mad if they made a Kite movie. I don't know who would see it, but I'd be there
I
day
give it a
one for
shot.
Kite.
And I'm not against villain movies. I'm against nobody villain movies that don't have an identity.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah,
against, and that's one of Madam Web's biggest issues. Is it is a fart in the wind of a film. It comes, it makes no sense. It throws shit at the wall that falls straight to the floor, and it leaves.
and
It is just noise and pictures on a screen.
what pisses me off is that you're gonna put these things, these Spider-Man properties, in movies that are subpar to trash, and then we can't use those characters for at least another 10 years because you've wasted them in something that you didn't give a fuck about.
And it's I really feel bad for like the younger ladies of this movie because they're playing characters that you could do a lot of shit with. You could do it would be really interesting to imagine these three girls going up against Craven the Hunter, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, but he has a Russian accent instead of a British one for some reason. Um, I don't know, or American one. I don't know why he's American in this one. And Russell Crowe's Russian and his brother is British. It doesn't make any fucking sense. But can you imagine that movie? Can you imagine doing Craven's Last Hunt with 3 teenage spider girls that are really out of their element? Like, this is their first big thing? That's interesting.
It'd
I'd
be
go to a
fun.
theater and watch that. You know, it's
Fuck
like
yeah.
watching him get jumped or him, like, stalking them one by one and even making that, like, a metaphor for, like, toxic masculinity and abuse. That could be really interesting. You know, these 3 young girls stalked by a grown man who keeps popping up at different points in their lives while they're still trying to navigate this whole superhero shit. That'd be interesting. Them being stalked by interdimensional space traveling vampires that just want that just objectify women and want them for their bodies. That could be interesting. You have a premise there. You can do shit with that. It all flows so easily and you do nothing. You choose people that intentionally give you nothing. Like at least with Morbius, I don't know. I didn't see it. I don't have anything to follow up that point.
I saw movies.
I'm sorry.
You gotta watch it one day. You gotta watch it. Just so you know. Just so you can experience it.
I saw Matt Smith dance in it, but it's like, yeah, it's like that's nothing. You know what would be interesting? I'd be interested to see um here. I'll do it right now. Maddie Franklin, not Maddie Franklin. Which one is it? Not Cassandra. Uh Julia Carpenter, because she later becomes Madam Web in the future. And she has this really cool, like all red, um, you know, kind of fit. She looks like a private investigator. So you do a neo noir thriller about a series of murders that keep taking place, starring Julia Carpenter, and the villain is fucking Morbius, sucking people for blood or plasma if it's like the '90s show. He's sucking them for blood, trying to find a cure for his disease. You make it
That'd be
a
dope.
spider themed neo noir movie with Sydney fucking Sweeney. That could work.
Funny enough, that could work. I just found out something today that apparently Sydney Sweeney did Madam Web as a strategic move to better her relationship with Sony, so she can have lateral moves in the future and bigger
Mm.
opportunities to do. It was literally her taking one for the team movie because of that she
I
got
respected more for it. Girl, and you did. I mean, Isabella
because she got her
Merced is
rom com because of that, and she has Barbarella, which is going to be producing on. So yeah, she took one literally for the check and to build a relationship. I'm like, okay,
okay.
like, and it's
I
funny
can't be
because
mad at.
you usually see movies like this, right?
Mhm.
That are this bad, this critically panned. I don't know. It's debatable if it's as like Last Airbender or Dragon Ball Evolution bad, but
It's
usually in
close.
scenarios like this, it's close. But those actors usually don't get work after those movies, right? But
Mm,
I think all of them are going to be fine. I think
yeah,
everyone in this movie will be fine.
like
This
Celeste
isn't
O'Connor
hilarious,
literally has another movie coming out this week. So I know she's working. Isabella Merced is going to be hot girl. She has a future, and then Sydney Sweeney's Sydney fucking Sweeney.
right?
She'll be fine.
She,
She's
she
the
has
new it
she has
girl now that
Euphoria and she has other movies already in the pipeline, so she's fine.
Margot Robbie retired to be to a little bit to be a producer, not fully, but she said she's taking a step back from acting after Barbie. I'm like, well, Sydney Sweeney just shoop, slotted right in there. It's like, well, we need a new hot blonde with a great body, but again, give it time. I think Sydney's probably going to like take a step back too. But so far, like the world is hers. She can. I just need her to pick roles that show off more of her talent. And I'm a little bit nervous about this Immaculate movie that she has coming out because I'm like, this could be good. This could be utter dog shit. Because
You know,
it's
Sydney Sweeney. If we're just going to talk about her for a second, I think she's an
yeah,
interesting actress because
she is.
I think she's good, but she's like non traditional in a sense. Like she acts
Yeah.
like it's gonna sound a weird statement. She acts like an indie actress. Like she
No,
doesn't
I agree. I
feel
get what you mean.
like an act like a Hollywood actress,
Hmm.
like a movie star type actress. She feels like a smaller film actress
Uh,
who is hot, who is in bigger stuff.
yeah, she has the talent of an indie darling, like a Florence Pugh, but she has
Even
like these.
Florence Pugh feels like an actress. She's
Yeah,
able to she's
b-
like Lawrence, Jennifer Lawrence, Emma Stone. All of them feel like actresses, and
yeah, yeah. But
does, but not the same way.
no,
Which is not a bad thing.
it's not bad at
It's
all.
just
But it means that like the roles she has to be very particular about her roles because she's I do think she's a very talented actress. I think she has a really bright career. Like she'd be somebody that would be like, oh yeah, it'd be dope to work with her. I think she's like really smart, really talented based off of some of the other things I've heard. But she seems really nice. She seems really chill and down to earth. Um, at the same time, I think, and we'll get into this in a sec. There are certain actors that I think get typecast into certain things probably more so based off of how they look, and it makes it feel like they have a more limited acting range than they do. I think Sydney Sweeney's issue is she's getting miscast for certain shit based because she's aesthetically traditionally very attractive. She's
Right.
a very beautiful, young woman who gets hypersexualized a lot. Some of it she plays into, some of it, you know, can get really weird. Niggas are creepy. Um, but like her
Yep.
talent range as an actress, I think works more for like drama, thriller, indie. Like she could have a great career as like a scream queen. I could see that. I could see
Totally.
her doing like a lot of psych thrillers. I could see her doing a lot of like dramas or like a stage play, something really like theatrical, something that really I could see her doing like a Suspiria or a Black Swan,
Totally.
something like that. Something that like really, and apparently she has before. Um But then you put her in like a rom-com and it's like, that's a weird pick for her.
I still
That's
haven't seen that movie, so I don't know
I
how
haven't I
how she
haven't either
fares in it.
because it didn't look I haven't seen a good looking rom-com in a while. Although the Jennifer Lawrence one was pretty funny. That one was actually pretty good.
It was
I
alright. The one with
I
Owen
thought
Wilson?
it was good for what I'm not saying it was like the savior of Hollywood. I just thought it was funny. Like I still quote that one line. It's like, "Oh no, a phone. I'm so scared. What am I gonna do?" when she walks away. That part was funny. It had
Oh, I
it
never
it made me laugh.
okay.
It was a simple premise. It was silly, but yeah, it's like I I want to see these women go far. It's Women's History Month. I want to see women succeed, and Madam Web feels like it set women back at least a year.
Yeah.
I felt like it did harm to women just as a population. this this felt anti-feminist.
Yeah.
This shit was
Uh,
disrespectful. You put Sydney Sweeney in like a high school schoolgirl outfit. You knew what the fuck the other girls were dressed pretty normal. It's like, oh yeah, crop tops and jinko jeans, or cargo pants. Seems pretty normal. It's like, yeah, super cute. Good for them. Very 2003. And then it's just like tight blouse, short skirt, meek, unassuming, like, I don't know where I am. Oh, guys, we shouldn't do that. No, you're being so bad. I'm
they
like,
never turn her into a hot girl though, which I guess kudos to them.
yeah, it's like, take your glasses off and dance on the table. I'm like, you horny
That
fucks.
was so dumb. Oh my god. Like, y'all are
Everybody was
literally on a
offbeat.
run. What are you doing?
What made it worse is like everybody was dancing off rhythm. That's what pissed me off. Like the objectification by a bunch of teenage boys, niggas gonna nig. Like I'm not that surprised by that. It's like, but there's like dancing on a diner table to "Toxic" by Britney Spears, which apparently that's another like timeline inconsistency because when the movie's set and the song came out, don't match up. The song came out in '04, the movie set in '03, so that's another fuck up. But
God.
I'm like, okay, this is a case where they must have cleared that song after the fact and just it was like dance on the table, pretend you're dancing to something, and nobody was catching a rhythm. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is this? It's like, come on, Sydney Sweeney with your big boobs, come up
With
here
your
and
big
dance for the
balls.
boobs, lift your skoida. Just like did you hear in the news recently? We can talk about Magic Negroes because I think we're good on this. I think we said enough, but did you hear the news on Twitter that there was a phishing scheme going around that was saying that there were either leaked or AI nudes of Sydney Sweeney, and it was like taking people out in droves? I'm like, you horny fucks,
I
getting
did hear
Trojan
about that.
horsed by the promise of blonde boobs.
But it was also dumb by that because, like, listen, if you click that link, you're fucking dumb and like
Yeah,
you're
you're a
good.
fool.
You know
You
why?
deserved
You
it.
know why? Because one, if you're that horny, her nude work already exists. It's already out there. So like, you don't need to
Euphoria
search for
exists. You've seen it.
Euphoria exists. She did like another movie where she was nude. So like, yeah, that's how
Oh
she like
yeah,
got
she
her
did.
her big break. So I'm like, you guys know what her tits look
Like
like. So what are you
Google is
doing?
free,
By this? This is fucking dumb. But
but it's like yes, the ethical side of things. You shouldn't be looking at somebody's nude photos, regardless of their gender or whoever it is. That's not right. It's like
even Drake.
that's yeah. It's like that. I didn't, and I was glad I didn't because people kept saying, "Oh, bro, you got to see this." Why? I have no desire to see that. I'm fine with the hearsay. I don't need any details about what that man has going on, but it all just I guess talking about the Drake thing and like leaked nudes. You know how much of a bitch you have to be? You
To leak the
are
nudes.
not well, yes, but I mean Drake this means to me that Drake is just a loser. You're over
The
6 feet
most
tall.
famous loser in the world.
You are the most famous loser in the world. You're over 6 feet tall. Your beard connects. You're in shape. You're a millionaire. Can't keep a woman.
I don't think
You're
he
a
wants to.
loser.
I
You
don't think he
are a
wants.
loser, bro. You have everything. Nothing can stop you. You're competing with Michael Jackson to be the most listened to artist in history, and you can't keep a woman around longer than 3 months. You're a loser. It's you. And it's been you for a long time. You fumbled J Lo, Serena Williams, lost him to Ben
J
Affleck,
Lo.
and yeah, I'm
He
pretty
wasn't
sure.
fucking J Lo, was he? I don't think so.
I think so.
Fact
I'm
check
pretty
that.
sure.
I don't know about Drake and J Lo. I've never heard that one.
If
Okay.
maybe I'm misremembering, but I hold up because I we
Here's
did.
the thing. I feel like he typically.
Yeah,
I
he
don't know.
did. Yeah,
Wow.
they had
That's
a
not surprising.
little flingy dude. There's some pictures of them together.
Of course there is. Of course
You're a
there is.
loser. Fumbled Rihanna, J Lo, Tyra Banks, Serena Williams, Nicki Minaj, Zoe Kravitz, Bria Miles, whiff, whiff, scissor. You
I don't think he
just
wants to be
left
tied
and
down.
right. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think. I think it's a self fulfilling prophecy at this point because like if he's happy, how's he gonna make music? If he's in
Taylor Swift
love.
is happy. She's selling out arenas. She's dating that football man.
Oh yeah, I don't know if she made song sense, but then when rappers get happy, you get the big day.
Nigga, I don't want to hear about your joy. Fucking with you. I
Get
want
out
to
of
hear
here.
trauma. Tell me about
Let me hear about
your
your trust issues one more time.
yeah. It's like I want to hear about like murder and your family struggling to accept that your cousin is gay and your
What set black people back more, Drake or Magical Negroes?
magical Negroes. Drake set light skinned men back.
He did. No. Oh, okay, we're back.
Okay. Yeah, I got scared for a second. But all right, let's talk about magical Negroes because this is another one that fucking pissed me off. The more I thought about it,
Woo, same, bro. I talked to a friend today who loved the movie. I think he's half black, half Hispanic, and I converted him. He's like, "Oh yeah." I mean, he's like, "Damn, you make a lot of good points.
the
I would
shit
love to go
started
see it."
unraveling before his eyes.
He
He's just like,
was like,
no. He saw the
"Yeah." He was
sausage was
like,
made. He's like, wait a damn minute.
"Hold on, I have a chat with some friends out here called the Blackening Chat." And he
Good.
texted it on Friday. He was like, "Yo, y'all have to watch this film. I was absolutely blown away. It's like Harry Potter with black people, except their Voldemort is white discomfort." And then I respond the next day or a couple days later. I'm like, "I'm sorry, Ariel, but that movie was ass."
A two-pack
I
of
don't know. I
ass.
said that movie was fucking ass. The most frustrated I've been in a movie in some time. There
Yep.
are a couple things I did like, but those things were better suited being explored in another movie that wasn't this one. And then we got on the phone and talked for 2 hours, and I showed him the error of his ways and that this movie is fucking dog shit. I will say there are things I like about it, but mostly
There
it's mostly fucking bad.
this has more things in it that I like than Madam Web, so I'll give it that. It's not into the dirt, 6 feet buried into the confines of like the Earth's outer crust, but it's
I would say
it's
Madam
lying
Web, I
on the
like
floor.
Madam Web. I thought Madam Web was funny. This movie just frustrated me, but I had more than things that I genuinely liked in it.
I laugh more in this movie than I did in Madam Web.
That's fair.
Like
That's real.
Madam Web, when my feet touched the ground, with every step, I got angrier. I've never had that happen before, and because I was texting you through it. Every step I took between the theater and my car, and it was not far. It was not far. I got angrier and angrier and angrier because less and less of it made sense. Now, don't get me wrong, Magical Negro. Okay, let's get into again full spoilers for this movie because we need to talk about like the marketing in particular.
Okay, so
This
let
movie
me
does
no, Gorgon say.
this movie does something that bothers me about a couple other movies. Its title is inaccurate to what it is. This movie should have
Yes.
been called The Misadventures of Black Magic, featuring the American Society of Magical Negroes. Those should have that should have been
That's a
characters
long
in the
title.
movie, but the title should have just been called The Misadventures of Black Magic. That still has the same effect and it makes way more sense. But The
Yeah.
Boy and the Heron has this problem. The Mitchells and the Machines have this problem. And those are good movies. This movie
Yeah.
is cheeks and it suffers from
Cheeks,
it because
booty.
because they say it they try to pretend that this movie was supposed to be for black people and it wasn't.
It was
And
not.
so it was not. And I remember when the controversy happened because I saw snippets of the trailer, but I mostly saw a conversation about it. And a lot of black people were understandably very frustrated that it's like, oh, we're finally getting a movie about black wizards and witches. We're having
Mhm.
black people tell fantasy narratives until we get Children of Blood and Bone, which is written by an African woman. We're still waiting, I guess.
Mm.
This movie is not about magical Negroes, which is what we would definitely call it. It's like, oh yeah, there's a bunch of magic niggas flying around. Harry Potter and the Prison of Azkaban, like yeah, Azkabans, shit like that. Like we made jokes. Like I would want to see a witch using her like magic to change her hair. Uh-oh. Where'd he go? Fuck.
I'm here. You
Okay.
see me?
Yeah, it
Okay.
disappeared for a second. I got scared. But it's like I want to see a little black girl witch learning to use her powers, and she's like changing from puffs to bantu knots to braids to locks to twists, something like that. It's like that'd be
I
cool.
saw that in that new animated Disney Plus show with the African like
Oh,
magical thing.
Iwaju. Okay, we can talk
I've only
about that
seen a
now.
little bit of it. I've
Okay,
only seen a little bit of the first episode. I need to
okay.
catch up on.
Iwaju's a good time. Finish it. It's 6 episodes. It's really short. I watched it with my partner. Good time. Fun. It's a good fun time. The lizard is cute. Um, I have some interesting thoughts about its themes, but otherwise, it's a pretty simple, straightforward story. So I recommend it. It's a breezy watch.
Okay.
Watch that over this. Um, but it's like, but Magical Negroes. People got upset because it's like, oh, we're finally getting our Black Hogwarts. We're finally getting like a movie where it's like we get to be something more than our skin tone. Nope. It is about the Magical Negroes trope. And I'm like, well, I can be open minded to that. That can still be an interesting premise. It's a society. Astronomy Club did this as a skit where it was like a meeting of a bunch of famous magical Negroes from movies and like them kind of talking and debating about like you know who did it best and things like that. And it's a funny skit. I miss Astronomy Club. There's some really talented black um, comedians. And then you get to the movie. Has the worst magic system I have ever seen in any medium ever. The premise doesn't fully complete itself. The title's even inaccurate. The Society of Magical Negroes, while being in it, are not really the focus of it.
Not
Justice
at all.
Smith's character sucks, and this is like the third time I've seen him play a character like this, and it pisses me off. Um, so much of this movie doesn't work structurally, thematically. There's a little bit of meta casting in here that I also think doesn't exactly work. either. So, like, we'll get into it. But what are kind of your early on thoughts? Because it falls apart for me really really fast, and I'm extremely disappointed.
I think we have some crossover in our thoughts, but I think I'm a little bit more kind to it than you are. I think
Hmm.
that I personally like Justice Smith in the movie, even though he was a little bit of a doormat. I think that because it's the thing with this movie is that there are no strong or thorough fleshed out characters.
Hmm.
There are character concepts that are playing very minimal to what the story requires for them to constitute being a character. So for
Yeah.
like the oversimplified, exaggerated version of the type of character Justice Smith was playing, I thought
Hmm.
he did it well, even though this is similar to characters he's done in the past. I don't watch his work too frequently,
I don't either. So
so
I'll admit that.
I saw Jurassic World or that one like once. I
Yeah.
saw D&D maybe once or twice. I liked him in that. You know,
He
I
was
think
good in
he
D&D, but he basically has the same arc.
yeah, he's like he's not confident and he learns to be confident.
Yeah.
Or learns to believe in himself or something to that effect. Now what I will say is that even though they didn't say it in the movie, his love interest is she's half Taiwanese, half Irish. I could
Which
tell she wasn't purely white. I feel like a lot of people are like, "This is just a white woman," but I could tell, like, "No, she got something else in her." I could tell.
it was that Meghan Markle type biracial. I'm sorry if that's rude, but it was kind of a Meghan Markle vibe where it's like I wouldn't have known to look for it had you not told me.
I could tell, but
I
I will
wouldn't have
say,
immediately thought, and then it's like, oh yeah, okay. Now that's how I felt. It felt like an afterthought where it's like you meet somebody, it's like, oh yeah, yeah, Phil here is half Chinese. It's like, oh, okay, I see it. But then it feels kind of racist to like do that. It's like,
right,
oh,
right.
now I see your phenotypic features.
I will say I like their chemistry once they were bantering, though the way how they
Sure.
met requires a lot of suspension of disbelief because he was because I was like, okay, the only reason this interaction is continuing is because she finds you attractive. If you weren't
Yeah.
attractive, this would be like she'd be really creeped out by this whole
It
engagement.
it kind of drags, in my opinion, too, because
I
it
was
just
like, I like the cute little bantering thing. I could totally see two people actually having that. But then the thing is, that doesn't really go past that. It
yeah.
just kind of well, one, why did he go to the coffee shop in the first place? I never said that. I
I
guess
think he
he's trying
just
to,
wanted coffee.
but he didn't even get coffee. He didn't
No,
even
he
order any
didn't.
coffee. He was just
He was
sitting
just,
there.
he was just
He
sitting
wasn't in
there.
line to get coffee. He was just at the coffee shop.
I can't remember
So
if it was sitting on the table or not.
he
He
was
might
sitting
have.
at the table.
No, I'm saying if
He
the
was,
coffee was on the table with him. I thought I saw
oh,
a coffee cup, but I could be wrong. I could be misremembering.
okay. I
He
don't know.
just kind of but yeah, he had places to be, and he knew he had
He
places to be.
was
He was like, I'm gonna take my time here, and hmm.
right. Also, are we doing spoilers for this one, or are we
No,
trying to keep it?
we're doing spoilers. We're doing spoilers for all of them today.
Okay.
I don't
Spoilers,
mind.
everybody.
Spoilers
Um,
for Magical Negroes.
so I will say I like their chemistry, even though the way they met was a little unbelievable. But once they got into like the actual banter of it, and you could tell that there was like something there, I liked it. I like just watching human dynamics play out.
Sure.
But no, I like the music as well. Some of the music felt like whimsical when they were like in the
Yeah,
society and whatnot. And I
I'll
like
give you that.
some of the way things were shot, like the way when things went black and like it went into like discomfort mode, and he saw like the black
Oh
faces
yeah,
and
yeah,
his
yeah.
features, and then David Allen Greer popped up. I'm like, okay, I like the way that was shot. That was cool.
I like David Allen
Um,
Greer.
he was good in it for the
He's
little
always
that they
good.
gave
He's a
him.
pro. I've never seen a
I
bad
mean,
performance.
good actor.
Yeah,
He
he's
should be good. Now there comes the rest of the movie.
and then there's the rest. Fortunately.
Now we got the good stuff out the way. Um, a lot of this shit doesn't make sense. This movie was not made
No.
for black audiences. This was made for white liberals so
Mhm.
they can tisk tisk at the bad white people who are overtly racist with their microaggressions,
Mhm.
and it's satirical, but without adding nuance to its satire, which makes
Yes.
it feel hollow. And not to mention something that I brought up that you also caught or agreed with. As I was watching it, I was like, this the whole fact that he's biracial just does not
Never with a
hit the
white
same
mom.
with a
He
white
he
mom that they
explicitly
brush over just so casually.
he
Like, oh
explicitly
yeah, like, but you're
mentions
so
he explicitly
and
mentions that
he's the
his mom is
only
white.
right, and did you notice he's the only light skinned motherfucker in the Society of Magical Negroes?
Yes, I did. I did notice that. Literally
He's
all
the
the other
only,
dark-skinned people are in the background.
and he's like there, just like light skinned, half. half I'm about to call him a African.
I mean I mean,
He's a African American, man. But I feel like the message, even like with casting, it would have hit so much deeper or better if he was a dark skinned black man having to navigate in those spaces.
I mean, like while we're talking about it, I kind of feel similarly about the love interest. If okay, I'm going to be considerate about
So
how I say this. There's nothing against the actress. I thought she was good. I thought she was, I didn't have any real issues with her. She just didn't really have much that she was given. But if it were a black woman, I think a lot of the points that they were making would have kind of stood out a little bit more. Because it's like, okay, not only is like a black woman being passed over in a tech field for her own additions and contributions by a bunch of white people is a very real experience. And I'm not saying that that doesn't happen to other women. It absolutely does, but I'm not we're talking about black people. The movie's about black people. You want to have a conversation about black people? You want to talk about misogynoir? You want to talk about intersectional concepts? No, you don't. You don't. They don't even bring up he never addresses the fact that it was her design when they get to that point. He just runs back. He's like, I need to do this right now. And then like take you to New York City and then try to kiss you and disappear. But she never gets it pointed out that she designed the shit. She never gets credit for her
they
contributions.
don't treat her as a character; they treat her as an accessory, which
Yeah, which
they think they're tongue in cheek cute with the little post credit scene with the
was
Society
stupid as
of
shit. Is yeah,
dumb as shit. I
supportive
was like,
wives
yeah,
and
we're doing this for
girlfriends,
the girls. Like, no,
and I'm like,
no
that's
one asked for that.
because I had to think about it. I'm like, oh, is it for like Asians or something? I'm like, that could be okay, no, it's supportive wives. I'm like, what? So it's just like, is the premise like a bunch of women whose job it is to like basically help a
Support
man
their
for his
man.
character arc? Like, you're trying to do too much and you have all these concepts, but none of them are like having legs. Um, and
None
so,
of them
and
land.
to your point, of what you were saying earlier about the goods, I don't have an issue with Justice Smith as a talent. I know he can act. I've seen him act plenty of times. I've never really had complaints about him as an actor. I I'm tired of seeing the quirky nerdy guy as like or like the dorky guy, the millennial guy being either annoying or a pushover. Why can't he just be a dude? I'm not saying that those people don't exist. They do. But it seemed like watching the movie, it's like you're not being passed over simply because you're black or at least half black in this case. You're being passed over because you're you're kind of a wuss. Like
You know
you're
what would fit better?
Mhm.
That would have been more narratively interesting. Take away the love story. Imagine
Yes.
somebody.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, take away the love story.
Period. End
But
of sentence.
imagine someone who is frustrated with the system because I feel like he's just timid and afraid of the being in spaces with white people. Imagine someone
Yeah.
who's like actually frustrated, who's like had it to their wits end, who then gets inducted into the magical Negro thing, where he doesn't want to. He's already frustrated, had it to his wits ends with white people, but now he's forced to be in a position because he believes it's the altruistic thing to do to be in a society of magical Negroes. But then
There
he's
you go.
like, no, fuck that shit. And then he changes the system and flips it on its head.
And even when I was thinking about it, I'm like, this movie was probably meant for somebody like me, and it failed. And what I mean by that is I'm talking about my personal life here. I went to private school for a long time, PWI, for like middle, high school, most of university. A lot of white people. I was literally an Eagle Scout. A lot of white people. I have been in predominantly white spaces for a long time. I know how to navigate them very well at this point. I haven't, it's like while I have had issues being able to maintain a level of comfort in myself, knowing that I've been ostracized in white spaces, so I've had to create that space. I, and again, about the same age as Justice Smith, or his character was in the movie. His character's like 27, 28, 28. So it's like these are, it's like I've been in those, artistic spaces, shit like that. You've been there with me in a couple of those times. It's like
Right.
predominantly white spaces. I couldn't believe that any black person 30 and below would not think that their life doesn't hold importance in a white dominated society. You know why?
Why?
Because we had the Black Lives Matters protests not 3 years ago. The biggest protest in the history of the world, where we all came together and said that, hey, stop killing us. So I think that's one of the biggest things, because the movie points out, it's like, yeah, and we're still having to deal with issues of racism, but it's keeping us alive. Clearly the fuck not. Clearly the
The
fuck not.
only the only reason I would, I wouldn't say excuse his behavior, but something that the movie
Mhm,
decides to pass up, which would make more sense to me
mhm.
for why he is the way he is the thing that they didn't want to address is the fact that he's
Yes.
biracial. And I
Yes.
feel like if they
That's a
did tackle
huge
the fact
missing
that he's
component.
biracial, it's a huge missing component because I feel like one, not addressing colorism, which is clear, very obvious in this movie.
It's
The fact that
right
we
there.
it's right there. Because when they literally put all the magical Negroes in the background, and the characters we focus on are a half white man and other white characters,
They
and
literally made the dark-skinned, bald, older man the magical Negro to the biracial, comfortable, associative white black guy.
right, but okay, to
Sorry,
add to what I was
yeah,
saying,
like you were
no,
saying.
you're good, you're good. So because he's someone who walks in both worlds, he has a this kid has a white mom and no friends to what to what we know as far as this movie goes. So
Yeah,
because he's a fair skinned black man, he blends in, quote unquote, so to speak, to these more white spaces because he's like be, be, because he's like a sensitive light skinned half white black dude, so like, oh yeah, he's like he's comfortable, like he's non-threatening, we can be in this space together. Can you still see me? Are we good?
yeah.
Okay, we're good.
You're
um
going.
so we can be in these spaces together
Yeah.
because like, oh yeah, you're not like the other black guys, if
Yes.
you know what I'm saying, like if they address that whole component of things, and then him having to navigate being a biracial black man within the space, and but also something they didn't address, which something they should have if they're going to use someone like Justice Smith.
Yeah.
You're so focused. Some of the two things bother me. They're so focused on having this society essentially bootlick so they can altruistically bootlick to support the white man. They ignore all the discomforts in and of themselves of being a black man, of just existing,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I feel like he's a half black dude, a half white man with no friends, and there's been so much time focusing on his discomfort and isolation of being in white spaces. They spend no time on the fact that he's literally part of a society of magical black people. You're not going to show him find comfort or relief within a space where he's around people that are like him. You're not going to counterbalance that with something.
Yeah.
That's where your internal conflicts comes. If you're going to put the romantic thing in, like, oh, this love in my job, or like, oh, the society of people that I love. We never got the chance to really spend time with them or
No.
get to know them in spaces. We just got David Allen Greer. But what if he didn't become part of the society? They had a couple scenes of him being in classes like fucking Hogwarts, but he didn't make friends there. And I think
You
I
never
was just
think
talking
about
about
other
that
than
earlier.
David Allen Greer, and he was his own magical Negro. That's what
Yeah,
he was. He didn't
yeah.
really have any agency. He was just there to prop up the lead, who happened to be a biracial guy on his journey of self-discovery.
Right. And then what was the white guy's name? The one who he was assigned to,
Oh, the what was it, Drew or Dave or some
or
shit like Jake,
or Jamie or some shit like that.
some shit like that.
Anyway, I think that they part of the reason why this is made, I feel this is made for liberal white people, is the fact that this movie makes it makes it too easy to like, okay, these are the bad white people who are fed up. It makes it like we're going to make it so easy for you to root for Justice Smith and this girl because he's just so unbearable with his undertones of racism. I'm like,
Yeah,
no, that's it's like that just
it's not
makes
how
it
it works.
too exactly. It's not how it works. Like, imagine if the white dude in the movie who he had to be assigned to was like his childhood best friend or something,
Yeah,
who didn't realize he was like he had these undertones of racism, or he was in like a white friend group and he had these undertones of racism that he had to battle. That makes things more complex because you have these established relationships with people, but then you if he doesn't want to speak up because of the fact that he is in a comfortable white space because he's that's the half he knows, but he's unfamiliar with his black side, or like maybe I don't know
yeah.
because we don't know anything about his relationship with his own blackness. We just know that
No,
he's afraid of white people, and he joins the black society, has David Allen Greer, and then he meets another mixed girl, and
and
then
and
they have a
like
thing.
there's a whole conversation in and of itself of the notion of like being a, I'd say, an unconventional black person, um, who's trying to navigate black spaces. So you can be black and uncomfortable in black spaces. That's why people have had to curate like alternative, that's why you have black punks, black alternatives, blurs, shit like that. We've had to create those for ourselves because we wanted to find community with other people that have our interests. Can you imagine how interesting it would have been if the only friend he had was another old black guy? Because the minute he tries to connect to other people, it's like, oh, I can't relate to that one, big dog, for one reason or another. Because that is a thing that goes on. It's just like I would have my school, which is super duper fucking white, and then I go to my church that was black as fuck, and all the people I hung out with there went to just normal public school. So their experiences were way different from mine. Now, I know how to code switch. Like,
Right.
so it wasn't really an issue for me to navigate. It's not like I wasn't around Negroes before. I live in a black Wall Street. I know black people. This is like family black. Like it's never been an issue. But I'm light skinned too. I can dance. I can pass a lot better in that world. I'm not white passing by any means, but white people are probably going to be a lot more comfortable around me versus like one of my closest friends who's also from like the islands, or like my one homeboy that you've met. He's brown skinned. So it's like the
Hmm.
shit that him and I have had to probably deal with at different points in life, very different. And you didn't want to
Right.
explore, either because
Didn't want to
you didn't
address
know
it.
how, or you were scared. But it's like it's
Well, I think the guy who wrote and directed it was also mixed
yeah,
race,
he's
which makes
biracial
a lot of
too,
sense.
and you did nothing with it. He intentionally made the leading lady also biracial because he was trying to do some sort of bullshit about like cultural assimilation, and trying to drive home that point. I'm like, what point? What point did? And again, all of this gets away from the notion of the topic, the premise of the title of the film, of the magical Negro, the trope itself. It gets away from it. And also, again, the worst magic system I've ever seen in any media ever. Absolutely horrendous. Where it's like, are the implication that our power is dependent on white satisfaction boils my fucking blood. And there was that point in the movie where
It's not subtext. They literally say it. We lose
that
our powers if the white people aren't comfortable.
they put it on a fucking whiteboard. It's flat out text, and it pissed me off because there was that scene where David Allen Greer and Justice Smith were talking. Um, I also felt very bad for you because the main character's name is Aaron. I'm like, fuck, he has to deal with this.
Yeah.
But when they were like talking about the past and everything, and Justice Smith is like, well, I fell in love with her, knowing that the premise is like, again, it's also the power is literally crabs in a bucket. If one of us fails, we all fail. The
Right.
fuck kind of it's some
Totally
bullshit,
dumb as shit. Dumb as
stupid
fuck.
shit. And so
Ultimatum.
and so I couldn't root for either one of them because both of their decisions seem stupid as fuck to me. For Justice Smith, it's like, oh, I'm going to throw everybody's black magic in jeopardy by chasing this one girl that I've known for a couple months at best at a job, rather than letting some white douchebag who will fumble her because
Right.
it's like dude, it's
She
like
was
you
never
really
interested
thought.
in that fool to begin with.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like
let
it
things play out how they're going to.
yeah, it's like it'd be one thing. I get the notion of just like, oh, I don't want to let her go or lose her. You think that weird asshole would have been able to bag her? That says more about the confidence you have in him and his whiteness and
Mhm.
your lack of confidence in yourself than to just think she might just like me better. And you were kind of proving it with their moments of interaction. But it's like, I hated that part. But I also hated David Allen Greer have the conversation where it's like, the whole story about his dad getting spat on. And he's like, yeah, I've had to make some sacrifices. I lost my pride and my dignity, but I'm alive. And I'm like, there's so many. And I get that was supposed to be the contrast, but when you put it in the context of how the narrative plays out, that makes it, I would rather be miserable and alive than dead versus I will selfishly make a choice that will impact everyone else that even is associated with me negatively. So they're both terrible and stupid decisions for very different reasons. And they're trying to be like, "Oh yeah, you should go after what you want and chase love and shit be damned." It's like, "No." And you crippled it because the premise of the magic alone relies on both of those things. It relies on the lack of black self-respect, and it relies on being the liquor to white comfort. It relies on both
Literally
of their
so
major
romance.
flaws in order to exist. And your implication is that in order for us to be powerful, we have to be obedient. And I fucking hate that.
Ooh.
It's
Order for us
it's
to be powerful, we have to be obedient. Ugh, disgusting. But that's yeah.
it's
And the
so
crazy part
gross.
is gross as fuck. And what made me mad by the end of the movie, because the entire film, I was like, okay, maybe they're gonna turn it around. Maybe they are gonna lose the powers, and maybe we'll find a different source of the power,
Right.
because this is clearly fucking dumb, and that's not what happens at all.
That's why
He's
that's what I thought they were gonna do too. It's like, oh yeah, black empower, black people speaking up for themselves is now like a new resource because white people have to learn to respect us for all of our dimensions, all of our capabilities. And so it's like, it's that belief in the strength of ourselves, like Justice Smith learns, actually is a new way to have like the magic. That is magic in and of itself is like healthy, like unity, internal self-belief, actual cultural values that we hold as a community. And this just wasn't that. It just
in
wasn't.
the also there was nothing inherently like black about the movie.
No,
They played with black tropes, but like nothing about the characters themselves really explored or celebrated their blackness, because it was
no.
all to exist within the context of solely to please the white people in the movie. And the fact that
Mm,
Justice Smith doesn't lose his memory, loses his powers, but does so because he's giving people notions of something different is fucking dumb. Because that means
yeah,
the society is still around, and David Allen Greer's a static character. He isn't changed at all throughout
no.
the entire film.
That's why I said
He's
he's a
like, oh, I
magical
guess I'll
Negro
just go.
in
I
the
guess I'll just
movie.
go back to being a magical Negro and continue
Yeah,
to lick these boots for the
he
rest
he
of my
made
days.
he made a light skin black guy learn to be confident in himself. And it's like, and I'll give credit where credit is due. It's like the chemistry between him and the lead girl. I mean, it was fine. It was cool. Some of the dialogue scenes, that's more of like a writing issue that I have nowadays with the. That's why when I was texting you about, it, I'm just like, this is the. It's that Donald Glover way of speaking, and you we saw it a little bit in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, where they'll say something and it'll like kind of continue to go on, and but it's like an uncanny valley between natural and unnatural dialogue because it feels natural but forced at the same time. Where it's like, yeah, there's this thing and this other thing. Well, actually, I mean, if you want, kind of, sort of, because like you're hot, but like, I'm not checking you out unless you wanted me to check you out. But I like wouldn't do that. I mean, unless you were into it. And it's just like it keeps fucking going. I'm just like, Jesus, fuck, ugh. Because like,
Right,
because
someone acting awkward, like how script
that's
awkward
what it
is
is.
of
You're
that
you're
person.
acting awkward, and it sounds like you're not. It's like, no, when you're awkward, it's like, yeah, you'll make weird small talk and shit like that. But it's like it feels fake in a weird
I
way.
get
It feels like it's inauthentic because it doesn't lean into the chemistry that can come about from awkwardness. She could do it because she had the banter to back it up. Where she was just like, it's like, oh no, I was just checking out your ass. I'm like, see, that was like, and that got like a little
He
chuckle
picked
out
up
of
the
me.
lead because he was like, he could let it die, and then she was like, "You just lied." And then she picks up like the playful, like teasy banter after that. I was like,
Yeah,
in real life, that would have not gone down like that. She would have not
no,
picked that back up. She'd have been like,
no, no, no.
"Okay,
I
what about her day?"
I think I wish like sequences like that were a little bit snappier, but I think that's just like a caveat of how people maybe write uh millennials really, and
Okay, I can see
like
that.
the Lena Dunham, Donald Glover, like the girls era, the 2010s era of writing is I think catching up with us now. The kind of like tumblery mumble speak of it all, like that Scott Pilgrim kind of esque dialogue, where it's like the leading guy is like very unsure. It's like I don't know. I don't think you have to. And again, his character really like bothers the shit out of me because I think you can tackle a lot of these issues and still have a character that you can have a character that has a difficult time, especially as an artist, especially as a visual artist, navigating white spaces, who has the internal conflicts of kind of knowing that like he will never be enough for both worlds, but him still know that it's like I know I have a right to exist, but my conflict is because other people don't think I do. Versus him
Yeah,
realizing that in the first place. I think that's a way more interesting premise where it's like, hey, I know what good at. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I can do. Why does nobody else recognize it? Why do
right.
they pass over me? Why do they why does it look like when they talk to me? And like even that conversation in the park, that had a little bit of direction where I really find it attractive when someone is seeing me, the real me, for who I am. So it's like,
Yeah,
okay.
I like that.
And yeah, it's like I actually, I thought that was one of the better moments. So it's like, okay, imagine if you set that up where it's like, I feel like when white people look at me, they look through me.
Yeah.
And when black people look at me, they see me, but they don't understand me.
Mm, yeah.
And so that's the biracial component coming into play. Where you have somebody that's like they see you, but they don't know you. It's like they look at me like I'm foreign. But it's
Right.
like I'm familiar, but I'm foreign. And then white people, they look at me like I'm a shadow that's in the way.
Mm,
This is kind of like
yeah.
move to the side. It's like they
That
look
would
at
have
me
been
like
great.
I'm yeah, it's like they look at me like I'm an inconvenience. I don't know. It's a
No,
lot of
that's
this
great.
stuff.
That's a great point. I would have loved to see that.
Yeah, it's like a lot of it just it doesn't come together the way that I wish it would. And I think that's what's really disappointing is there really is you could do a very interesting movie about the trope of magical Negroes, of black people whose tasks and duties in life uh come from I wouldn't even say white comfort. I would say like guiding white people to destinations of uh basically affirmations of white privilege. I think that is honestly a little bit more accurate, albeit situational, depending on like shit like the Green Mile and the Help. But it's like it's guiding white people to self determinism that we
Mm,
because we aren't the character has no depth. You literally are not allowed to grow as a black person. But your
Yeah.
job is like you are the pail holding the water, and the white person is the plant that you're giving it to. But the pail is never changing. The pail stays exactly the same.
Did you do that?
No, it just does that sometimes. It's weird. I guess when like I do the thumb thing, but but yeah, it's like the magical Negro is a pail of water feeding a plant that is white society telling it to grow. But the plant never gives credit to the pail. It just thinks that it's rain.
Mm.
It's
Hey,
like
poet.
and that's that conversation that the white guy had where it's just like, "Oh yeah, because I believe this was supposed to happen to me, it's going to happen." That's
Right.
ego. You know, it's like
It's
that's
ego
just
and
an
privilege that's in your mouth.
yeah, it's like, "Oh yeah, it's like I deserve this rain. I'm supposed to grow. I got
I
told
deserve this
early."
because I got it. That
Yeah,
means
it's
I'm entitled to it.
yeah, and it's just I'm like it was so close to like having that point. And even just like with the his speech they delivered at the end. And I think he was like on the right track. I have two minor issues with it. One, and I know one of them kind of makes sense, but one of them it still bothers me. And I told you about this. I don't like that the white people were like talking over him, but that also kind of reinforces the disrespect and disregard that they had for him in the first place. So it's like
Mhm.
that's it's in character, but it's annoying because I don't get an opportunity to really focus in on what he's the point he's trying to make. And two, I'm a little, and this is more just like an acting thing. I wish his tone had like varied a little bit more to express his frustration because it just sounded like he was projecting, but he wasn't emoting until the part where he like really struck it. And that's when I thought it was really good. But
Yeah.
that was the moment when they shut the fuck up and I could actually hear what he was saying. Versus just like where he's explaining he's like, you don't know what it's like to be me. I've just been navigating the world in this skin and this body. It's like, yeah, you're speaking out, but you're not speaking. It didn't feel like it was coming from that place. And I know he can do
Well,
it
was he
because
looking at him when he said that, or was he looking down when he said that part? I don't remember.
I think he was looking down.
Because I feel like he's still trying to muster up the courage to, like, say what he's gonna say. Because that scene was about him getting it out more so than it was about the white people hearing him.
And I think my issue is it didn't come through in his tone of the delivery of it. Because it's like if you're because
I
there is
think
a
it
way.
started off as him getting it out, and then it turned into, like, "No, you're gonna hear me."
Yeah. And I like the "know you're gonna hear me" part. I think in terms of how I'd be curious about what the other takes of this were like. Because I know that he has it in him to give a lot of a more impassioned emotional version, but I guess the one that they went with was or wound up putting together with this one. But it's like and I know because I do this. I'm doing it now. It's like when I process my thoughts out loud, it can come off like staccato and stagnant. And so if I'm thinking through something, if it's just like or hearing it for the first time, it's like these words are coming out of my mouth, and I'm not sure if this is exactly it, but I think I'm really starting to fight. So you see, it's like there's a shift there, and I wanted to kind of see that, and I wasn't getting it, and I wanted it, and then when he got there, I'm like, great, but it was before it. So the combination of people talking over him and the lack of variety, because he's like you were saying, speaking low, speaking down. I can't I can't invest in it the way I wanted to invest in it until the story told me now's the time that you pay attention. I should have been paying attention the whole time, not just when it gets to like the important part where it's like my life matters. You know, it's and I am important, and for the first time in 27 years, you know, I finally see that. You know, it's like I didn't know that. But I think that's to your point. It's
I
like
got
if you,
school special.
yeah,
Wow, I can change now.
well,
Now that I learned from my black friend.
hey, I'm not racist, and to think for you to imply that I would ever say anything racist is racist because I'm not a racist, and I'm just like
So I was like, "Oh, fucking destroy
that's
me." Wait,
yeah. I
pardon
think
me.
fundamentally, oh no, you got any other thoughts on this? For I guess give my last little bit. Nicole
I
Byer felt like meta casting. I'll say that because I'm like, well, white people love Nicole Byer. That's how you know this movie's for white people.
it's funny because I went to go see it, and I wish I went to a fuller screening, but I went to a 10
You wouldn't
screening
have
of
had a
it.
choice. What fuller screening? Black
But when
people
I
wasn't
was
going
the
to
only
see
black
this movie.
exactly, I was the only black person in there. There was, like, a white couple in like, a row the front row, and I think there was, like, another white couple, like,
Hmm.
towards, like, the back. But
Yeah.
then today I had one of my white coworkers was like, "Oh, I was really excited for that movie. It looked so good." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." 'Cause I was like, I feel like
uh,
more white people wanna see this and are excited for it than black people are. And then,
yeah. And we get to
obviously,
say
fucking
Negroes for the first time
right.
in
It's
centuries.
funny he didn't say it. Like, he was like, "Yeah, I really want to see the American Society of Magicals." So, yeah, man, I think this movie looks really good. And I was laughing internally. I was like, "Ah!" That was good. That was funny. But it's also funny seeing the right like I looked up the reviews for this movie on YouTube, and sure enough, it's just filled with like
Oh my
the white
god.
talking heads, the woke media.
The what?
You know those fucking YouTubers. I was like, come
I
on,
did the
this is
same
like an
thing.
easy fucking like it's low hanging fruit
Shout
for them to like to
I'll
hit
say
on.
this,
Like, what are you doing, bro?
because I did the same thing when I got out. I'm like, who's talking about this? 'Cause I was waiting for Double Toasted to drop their review, and I'm like,
Did you
okay,
watch it already?
I need other black people to talk about this because I guess I'm like we're some of the only black people that have seen it, and I saw Joker's review. I vehemently
Just give it
disagreed with
ugly.
her. I don't know. I feel like we didn't even see the same movie. I think I saw
Right.
snippets of like Fantastic Frankie's review.
I
Again,
didn't see
pretty good. You know, they're great content creators. But shout outs to the homie
I feel like
Zero
Joker's trying to
Gravity.
get that back.
Who?
Because she interviewed the cast. I feel like Joker was just trying to get that back because if she interviewed the cast as well.
I know Frankie was getting that bag because I think she had
Oh,
a
did
like
she speak highly of it?
no, but I think she had a partnership tag in hers.
Oh, okay.
So Conscious Lee did
And I
promo
think
for this. I'm like,
oh,
look,
yeah. He get that bag.
I'm
He
like,
would
okay,
not, bro.
he
I feel like he would not be for it.
he would tear this movie to shreds if he was giving his opinion.
Oh,
I'm like, they're like, we need black content creators to talk about. I mean, like, what's his name?
did
Not
Juju
not
talk
Long
about it
Beach,
or Straw
Straw
Hat?
Hat. Because Straw
Yeah, I
Hat,
think he said something about it.
yeah, it's like
I can't
Straw
remember if he said something positive or he just said it was a movie that
Frankie.
should be.
Yeah, Frankie and Straw Hat reviews were both like around the same type. And like, shout outs to the homie Zero Gravity slash IDK Gravity. She knows a newly, but she's another like black content creator. She primarily does horror stuff. So she was like the actual first black person I could see who'd like done a review. I'm like, oh, okay, I know this face, and it's like this is an opinion I trust. That isn't just like a talking head claiming racism or some stupid bullshit. So it's like her, she's a, she's light skinned too, but she was being very polite and basically saying that this shit is garbage, it's just
Wait,
doo doo.
who is this again?
So her name on like socials is like IDK. I know her as IDK Gravity, but I think she also goes by Zero Gravity. Um, but yeah, it's like they're definitely yeah
Okay, yeah, I seen this.
yeah
Okay,
her
I'll have to
the
watch her.
yeah she uploaded it to Big Gold Belt Media. That's where I saw it. That's where I saw her review. Was on their YouTube channel.
Oh, it's not on socials. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah, I watched it on YouTube. Well, she, I don't know, I don't know. I'm looking at her page now, but no, she's very nice person. The couple of times I've ran into her, I think we have a couple mutuals, but no, it's just like the talking heads are like, yeah, wokeness flopped again. No, it's just a bad movie. Like we were talking about earlier, bad movie fatigue. It's a bad movie. It's a mediocre, not even mediocre. It's a bad execution of a bunch of actually pretty interesting ideas. The concept of a American Society of Magical Negroes is wasted in both ways that this could thematically be a concept. We wouldn't even know what like all of their powers are. We get teleportation, fire that can turn into flashbacks and smoke, uh magic ball touching.
Right, it's fucking dumb. Something I will say, what's his name? He's like the nerdy heel of TikTok. The lion nigga, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
With the
is
O
it
with
like
the
Sir
bandana.
Lionheart or something?
Yeah. He even called consciously out, like, this is some bullshit. Like, this is trash. I was like, I hate to agree with them on this one, but like, he's
Yeah,
kind of right.
I got to agree with him on this one. That guy has some very passionate opinions, but it's like consciously, when I saw that he was advertising it, and then I looked down and it was like whatever picture's partner. I'm like, money. They got us again. They got us with the okey doke.
Did
Capitalism.
he review it? I can't tell because like,
No,
so I don't know.
he
If
just
they straight up
advertised
review
it as far as I can tell. Where he's just like, "Go see, this new movie out. It's gonna be an interesting deep dive."
He probably didn't even see the
I'm
movie.
like,
He
"Lee,
probably
you either didn't see this shit or you're holding back until that NDA expires." Cuz
I
uh
would love to hear his honest opinion on that.
cuz did I send you old dudes Smith's review of it? The pretty gay dude?
No. Oh yeah, you did. You
Yeah,
did.
because he tore this movie an asshole in the most gracious way I had seen in a while. Where he's just like, "Did we watch the same movie?" And I was like, "None of the shit made sense to me." I'm like, okay, I don't feel gaslit anymore. But it's like, I mean, shout out to all these content creators. They're talented creators, but I think they knew it was bad, and they say, "How can we get the niggas on our side?" I know. We'll call all the people that is like that the young people probably into. They like themselves, but not not the weird ones. It's like we're gonna get people that's like, oh, the socially conscious content creators. We're gonna get like Black Gay Comic Geek or Fantastic Frankie or Zero Gravity or OTP Joker or Straw Hat Goofy. We're gonna get like the hip young black influencers, all the TikTokers that have a pretty big black following. Conscious Lee, he speaks to the people. It's like we'll get them, and if we pay them enough to shut the fuck up about this movie, and not be honest about it, and I respect the creators getting their money, however they get it. But man, you hate to see it because I'm like, how long? When can you be honest? Because I
I would I would love to hear the real opinions after this the
I
whole media
would
starts.
so much. I would
Let's
I
let's
would
see what
love
you
to
really thought about this.
I would love to be in a room and just be like when we met Lakeith talking about death and it was like, all right, let's be real. How was it? It's just like
When
sucked.
didn't he say like I just don't talk about the movie in interviews or some shit like that?
Right. Yeah, he's yeah, I think that's what he said. Is like he actively just doesn't talk about it. It's like how bad was he? He's like, I don't even talk about that movie. It's like, okay, this is all I need to know.
Yeah. Yep.
Like these are
Yep. Yep.
creators that I definitely like want to work or collab with or some shit. But at the same time, because I respect them as creators, but I hate that the wheel of capitalism all makes us its bitch. Because
Yeah.
I really want to know their true opinions, and that's why I'm glad that Double Toasted didn't get sponsored because they laid into this fucking movie
Oh my god, they did. Yeah. Corey didn't hold back.
as
Corey did
well.
not
He
hold
shouldn't
back.
have. The way he called the character
Justice
Aaron a
League.
bitch, I hadn't heard a B that powerful in a long time because I had to rewind it as I was like listening to it. And he's like, it's not that he's black, he's a bitch. And I'm like, I haven't heard it like
He's
so
just a
clear, but he
bitch.
is. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't want to be rude, but I'm just like, because it's not Justice Smith's fault. This is how he's written. He's a bitch. And a poorly plated bitch. He ain't got no friends. He ain't got no hoes. That's why I think that's what made the chemistry hard to believe.
He just had a white mama and no friends. That's all he got to his name.
He got a white
And some
mom.
yarn.
Yeah, he got a white mom, no friends, and yarn. He ain't even got a cat, no
He ain't
pets.
even got a cat.
Like dog, who
That's
fucks with
also the
you?
thing. They don't treat him like a character. Like, why is he an artist? What did his art was it supposed to represent? Because he tried to say it, and then David Allen Greer didn't give a fuck, and we
It-
just skip
he's
past
like,
it
no, that
for
was
a
some
joke.
dog shit. And I thought his art was gonna evolve into something. And he started knitting something, and we never saw what it was. He just started knitting again. It's like,
And then we didn't even go
Alright.
back to the fact that he was an artist at the end. I would have loved to see like, okay, now that he's confident in his blackness, how is his art
But,
transformed? And then we didn't even go back to it. I was like, okay, that's just like the starting point. That's just something for him to do
they keep
because we need somewhere for this movie to start with him.
and then the movie just stops. Like, that whole ending was just fucking goofy of her first of all,
What the
how
fuck
did
was
she get
that?
from New no disrespect to the power of transportation, but we also have a lot of bullshit going on with Boeing Airlines right now. How did she get from New York to LA that fast? It was like the
Right.
same
He
day.
could not have been gone that long.
It
It
was
did
like
not
the
seem
same
like
day.
he was gone.
Where she's like, "Hey, I'm on the Empire State Building. Hey, I'm going to the airport. Hey, I'm getting a flight to LA." First of all, a same day flight from New
It's
York
crazy.
to LA within the same hour sounds fucking impossible.
She called him like 500 times. One, didn't call her back, just listened to her voicemails. Two, she
What
at the
was that
top of the
about?
building.
Phones work two ways, dumbass nigga. You didn't even try to call her. Like,
They
you're
got no
running
signal where the Negroes are at? Like, what the fuck?
like okay, you flew to New York. How long was that trip? What was it, like 5 hours?
Like 5 hours, bro. You gotta make it through TSA. You gotta wait for your flight. You gotta get off the plane. You gotta get a taxi. LAX is hell in and of itself.
Yeah, you're going like probably in you're in Manhattan, so you're probably at like JFK. You went from JFK to LAX, two of the biggest airports in the fucking country, and you got back like 4 hours later.
And you
Bitch,
weren't
did you
even
fly
the
with
least
Taylor
bit
Swift?
mad. You weren't even the least bit mad that this man made you pay for taxis, for airfare, for another taxi to get through TSA.
Probably a
Now you jet
Uber.
lagged for a trip you didn't ask for over a fucking kiss.
Nothing
And then you
on
just go
you.
kiss him as soon as you see him? Like, you're not gonna act like that just didn't happen? Like,
Nothing but
what?
a phone and your keys on your pocket. You lucky you had your ID with you.
And the most unbelievable part, them just having a long take down an LA street with no cars coming down the
Oh,
shit whatsoever.
nothing
Bullshit.
for like 5 whole even longer. That was the ending dragged, and then the movie stopped. I'm like,
That part was excessive to me. I'm like, okay, what are we doing here?
they
Like,
just
why
they
are we
just
just watching them
walk
walk down the street?
they just walk down that long ass street, and I'm like, and I you because you can feel when the credits are coming. I'm like, is is that it? Is that how we're ending? And then they give that goofy ass stinger, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? Because I think I
Oh my.
immediately text you. I'm like, that's it, and you're like, yep, soul is.
Oh, the singer was so bad. I was
The
like,
ending is
it makes
bad.
me mad. It makes me mad because you know that the anti woke people are gonna hop on that stinger and like, oh, the feminist agenda. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, that was just bad. Like, even women who are active in the feminist movement are gonna be fucking like, this is trash. Because like, what the supportive wives movement, like, that is that the woman equivalent of the magical Negro? Like, is that what we're doing here? The
Which
supportive
just
wives
like
and
there's
girlfriend.
it'd make more sense if it was like the Society of Manic Pixie Dream Girls, but that would force you to make her into like a more unique character at least.
We literally don't know anything about these people. We know
We
that they
don't.
work for Project Firm. She it was her idea, and that she likes Justice Smith. Justice Smith is an
Yeah.
artist. He works there, and he likes her, and he's part of the Magical Negro Society. And that's it. That's all we know about any of them. And my
She likes
friend,
coffee.
she likes coffee, and that's it. She has a swag ring. My friend was like, I like seeing black representation in films, and I like seeing like black people have magic. I'm like, yeah, but it was done poorly.
It was
Like,
done
go watch
incredibly
Lovecraft
poorly.
Country.
Go yeah, actually, go watch Lovecraft Country. Fucking go watch D&D. He's literally a sorcerer in that movie.
Right.
He's literally a black person. Yeah, it's like I have
That's a
my
magical Negro right there, and he's
it's
much better at it.
yeah, it's like, and at least with how Lovecraft ended, and I'm the only one who didn't want a season two, and I'm okay. I still stand by that. My issues with Lovecraft were more so like pacing than like individual narratives. But I'm like, yeah, and then all the black people have magic powers and none for the white people. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm completely fine with that world. That is somehow better than the bullshit that we got here. where it's like, well, if the white people aren't happy, we don't have our magic hickadoos, and you can only use it to help out white people. Then fuck that. I don't want those powers.
Also, how did they get powers in the first place? They never explain it.
When the first black person helped a white man back in 1872 and told him, "No, don't beat me. I'll wash your back and give you sage wisdom."
You only beat ups because you have to. You're under a lot of stress.
That's
Let me
probably
grab your
what
balls.
That's probably what he said. And then he put is like, look here, boss. Look, listen here, bossa, massa bossa. Let me just touch this. And you know, your is like your wife Pearly May will make love to her that is so sweet and tender that it'll feel like ribs falling off the bone. And
Oh,
then
I'm
he
sorry, Massa. I got some of my whip blood on your shoe. Let me lick it off for you.
Jesus Christ, that probably is what happened. Just a bunch
So
of just a bunch of jive ass niggas. Just a bunch of coons. Just a bunch of shucking and jive. That's what it is. This was shuck and jive the movie. Their powers were
fucking
shucking and
time
jiving.
movie.
Their powers were charcoonery.
What was the point? What was the lesson? What was the lesson in the movie?
If you shuck and jive enough, maybe the cops won't shoot you. If you hit that little cling, ding 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 ding. Ding. If
If you're
you
subservient enough, maybe the world can be nice.
Yeah, right, and that's a big maybe, depending on how they feel. Literally, how they feel.
You know what was crazy? What was insulting? The fact that like the consequence for disobeying the laws of the magical Negro were like just having to live as a normal black person
It's
without
like
magic.
niggas
I
do
was
that
like,
every day,
that's
bro. What
life.
do you can't even use your magic to help other black people. Then
You're
fuck
wrong.
this.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of did. No, he was trying to. I was gonna say he kind of helped Aaron in the beginning, but then like no, that was more to dysregulate the white people from causing
Yeah,
harm to black.
and to calm them down. So it's like you can't even use your power to help other black people unless it benefits white people some way. You literally can't look out for your own people with these bullshit ass powers.
Also, it's kind of insulting the notion that all black people are just like hospitable and just like know how to just de-escalate it with old Negro spirituals.
It
Old,
it's also insulting that like the first black woman that gets kind of like kicked out of the society, like it's because she speaks her mind and asks for her opinion to be respected in a way. It's That's what it is. This whole movie is about respectability politics, and we don't do that shit if we're like the 35 and under crowd of black people that would be maybe the ideal audience that the director or whoever, the marketing team, whoever the fuck thinks this movie is for. It is not for them, because we survived. Well, some of us, unfortunately, some of us survive, were the survivors, like through the Black Lives Matter movement, through the uprising, and us drawing attention to police brutality, the bullshit with Breonna Taylor, was it Elijah McCoy, too many names that I can't remember. We have existed. I was telling my sister about the movie. I'm like, what frustrates me, especially about like Jaden's Justice Smith's character speech about like self identity, is I'm like, I can't stand Candace Owens, but even she knows who she is. She has never one day questioned the fact that she's a black woman in America. Does she like it? Do I think she's smart? You know,
am I a magical Negro?
oh my god. Oh my god.
She posted that herself
Like
when the
50
trailer dropped.
like let oh my god. I just felt my soul exit my body. I am looking at myself from the door, walking into the bathroom, and I have to collect myself. But it's like, yeah, it doesn't make sense, because we have been exposed to so much shit in the world, in America, existing as black people, because this is who it's allegedly for. It is impossible to not know that like you you have an identity at the that you deserve to be in the way, because that's what the whole protest. So because life exists and recent history exists, it unravels this movie because it it doesn't allow my suspension of disbelief to think that there are any people in this age range that think this way, because even people that I vehemently am disgusted by don't even believe that shit. It's like I can't stand her ass, but I've never seen her be like, "Well, I'm not black."
Right.
She doesn't have self-respect. She doesn't have my respect, but
Oh,
she knows that she's a black woman. She said some weird shit, just like, "Well, they think we're all just good at basketball." It's like, "We, I haven't seen you associate with us in a minute." But whatever you say, sis. But it's like, you know, she knows that she's a black woman. She got her whole career because the NAACP supported her. That's a whole separate conversation. But it's like,
oh wow.
even she, who fucking sucks, like she knows that I have a place in this world. And I
Right.
is like, even if I grift and bootlick and kowtow and shuck and jive to white people, I at least know that I need to exist. Now, we have very different ways about going about it. Hers is yuck, and then there's everyone else that kind of makes some fucking sense. But no one in his age, even with this background, I think could believably have this quandary. Meghan Markle, biracial woman who I could have swore for the longest time was just a white woman until my friends told me otherwise. I'm like, oh shit, she gang cool. She knows that she's a black woman. She never had to question that. I'm not saying that people don't struggle with their identity, but I'm saying that people have never not have had the confidence, at least in this age range. People have not had the confidence to think that I don't have a space in this world. That's not a race issue, I think. That's a you issue. You're depressed, is what it is. That's why you ain't got no friends and you knit goofy ass, funky ass, not sweaters as pieces of contemporary art. You got a white mom and an old bald black guy as friends. And they're not even your friends. That's a coworker at best.
You're never
At
gonna see that man again after this movie's over.
at best. I just it 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 frustrates me. It frustrates. It's like it's not disrespectful in the same way where it's like Sony disrespected art, I would say, with Madam Web. But this just feels like you tried to do everything and achieve nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
But you at least got a
Pretty
couple
much.
laughs out of me. I'll give him that.
They did get some laughs. There's a
They
couple funny moments.
they got some laughs. Seeing Nicole Byer was pleasant as the head of the Society of Magical Negroes, where her funky ass wire is that kind of pulled her up in the air. And it's, this movie had a
It's
surprisingly
supposed to be
decent budget.
satire. Yeah, I will say.
Yeah,
I will say.
the magic looked good. Most of the green screen and VFX
The
looked
little
good.
magic they had. Yeah, the green screen was cool. Some of the ways the movie was shot was cool.
Yeah,
It's just it's just a very disappointing experience.
yeah,
And I know it's supposed to be satire, but I feel like it missed the mark of what it was trying to say because I feel like he should have been able to change the society of magical Negroes to
yes,
not have to be a society
yeah.
of
To be
foolish
like,
Negroes.
it's like you can be magical and have self respect. That's why we have these notions of black girl magic and black boy joy, where it's like the magic comes from within. It's you it, they're literally powered by external validation from people that don't respect you, and
Mm.
that's not. I don't think that's productive. I think that is antithetical. And this movie and Clay from Love Is Blind have set black men back at least 4 months.
Still need to watch Love Is Blind. I've yet to see an inkling of that show.
Oh, buddy, it's a riot. That's a whole other. That's a whole other talk for a whole another day. But do we want to close out with well, I'll say something brief about something unrelated, and then we can close out and just have fun with Dune. Sound like a plan? Um, R.I.P. to Akira Toriyama. That caught me the fuck off guard. I found about that in the weirdest way possible. I also, coincidentally, while doing some downsizing, I found an old toy of Goku as an angel, like a couple days before, vintage from like 2004, still in great condition. Um, yeah, I'm a miss him. He had a unparalleled impact on the shonen part of the anime industry. Really, it was a nice somber moment of cultural unity. It's like where everybody's like fuck. And it's like, it's like black people, Spanish people, white people, Asian people, we are all like I think the last time we did this when someone died was when the queen died, and that's because we were laughing. But this one was actually sad.
It's somewhat sad. Yeah, I was having a conversation about this with somebody, or about him with somebody last week,
Mhm.
and it didn't really like hit me. And they're like, "Oh wow, this man has really crafted a lot of my childhood, a lot of the
Yeah.
things that I really cared about growing up, and still like to this day. Like Dragon Ball Z is like it meant a lot to me as a kid, and it still
Mhm.
means a lot now, And yeah, I learned some important stuff, and I learned like perseverance
Mhm.
and power and just it was there for me when I didn't have a lot of friends as a kid,
Yeah.
and I yeah, I'm very grateful for his contribution to my life and the world. So he will definitely be sorely missed.
Yeah, yeah. It was some real sad. Like I was shocked. I found out from somebody randomly making a TikTok, and it's like, so Akira Toriyama died, and I'm like, what fucking weird ass joke is that? That's a weird way to open a video. It's like, and I'm like straight, and then I looked it up. I'm like, shit. Um, yeah, no, it was like a huge part of childhood. I mean, Budokai 2 and Budokai Tenkaichi 2 were like some of my favorite games
Oh my
growing up.
god, grew up on
Fantastic
those
fighters. It's like
games. Yeah,
and
Blue Sky was my shit. Tenkaichi 3 was my shit.
Tenkaichi 3 is some dope shit. And like without DBZ, I wouldn't have one of my favorite series, which is Dragon Ball Z Abridged. I mean, that's also like Masashi Kishimoto and Yu-Gi-Oh and Yu-Gi-Oh Abridged too. But it's like I wouldn't have DBZA, and that's one of my favorite, most like consistent, well written. Like I love Team Four Star and what they've done to just like the YouTube landscape, and especially as like the realm of like we were talking about satire a minute ago, but it's like parody and satire, and even probably some of my own writing style and some of my sense of humor is like all rooted. It'll go back to DBZ at some point. It's like the anime I got into as a kid. When I was really into Naruto, when I was really into Bleach, the big three still got ties to DBZ because like they're it's like those are the kids that's why we have the big three is because of DBZ. It was a world you know changing series. It's about like power and perseverance, but also like adventure and not taking shit seriously. It's a little boy with a monkey tail and a girl with blue hair traveling around the world collecting balls to make a wish from a giant dragon. And then it gets weird when the space Nazi shows up. But then things get a little weird when the alien bullshit comes around. But it's like there's martial arts and action and comedy and slapstick and like I remember going to see what was it DBZ Broly or DBS Broly and DBS Superhero, both in theaters, both amazing experiences. Them shit slapped. It's like, and it made me feel like a kid again. It's like, and I'll always have that. I went back and started watching one of the old Dragon Ball movies. I'm like, it feels like I'm connecting with an old part of myself, one that I don't as much just because I watch different anime, frankly, because I'm older. But yeah, it's just like you go back and you watch those old episodes, and it's like this is nostalgia. This is Toonami on Saturday nights. This is you know gangsta T-shirts of like Gohan with a snapback or some shit. This is practicing Kamehamehas and to go in Super Saiyan with your friends and like yelling on the playground. Like it is. I think weirdly enough, it kind of exemplified a lot of relatable parts of like boyhood. For a lot of people, and I know there are a lot of women that also connected with it. Um, probably as one of the best women characters in Bulma, who's like this super accomplished genius billionaire scientist who married the prince of a fucking like race of super warriors, like fucking badass boss babe, like fuck yeah. And then
He was the dopest black man in anime.
the
Hello.
dopest, yeah, Piccolo. One of the first cases, just like he black, he not black, but he black, like flying around with a turban. Raising somebody else's son as your own, like a slightly more evil Russell Wilson, basically. But yeah, just plus fucking we wouldn't have Super Saiyans without it, which means we wouldn't get parodies of Super Saiyans. We wouldn't get all these fusions and other shit because Gogeta is that nigga for real.
He
Like,
is for real.
I know people don't like GT, but Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, real nigga,
Real nigga.
certified.
Real ass.
It's like
Definitely.
untouchable. But yeah, okay, enough somber talk. You want to talk about something funny? You want to talk about Dune?
Uh,
I was about to do it too. Yeah, hey, Sapine. Or whatever they said.
yeah.
Yeah, hey,
What?
Sapine. Oh man.
Mutalib.
Muadaib.
Mutaib.
No, no, no. The way that God, what was his fucking name? Was just like riding Paul's meat.
Oh
Just
my god, bro.
just
He
absolute
was riding it
big
harder than the nigga was riding the worm.
right.
The
Literally
nigga was the worm.
right.
He
Just
was riding.
slobbering, just it's like, oh, he's humble. That's what we would expect him to be. It's like, oh my god, just working it. It's like, just grab the
Right.
balls while you're at it, man. Just the most submissive breed,
He's
fucking
not drippy
religious
grip.
zealots.
He's not drippy grippy 3000 on him. Like,
Right.
damn. But
No,
did you get your Dune bucket? Did you get your
I I saw it at a Regal, so they don't have buckets. They have commemorative glasses, which I still didn't get. I do want to get the.
no,
Did you get the bucket?
I did not get the bucket.
I wanna try and get the bucket somewhere.
I've held the bucket. One of my coworkers got the bucket.
I kind of how
I got
was
a
it?
I got a thick hand. So I got my hand into the bucket, but I couldn't get my hand out the bucket. And that was the problem.
Oh no.
So yeah, I probably wouldn't be eating popcorn out of that thing, but it was interesting. It was
Yeah,
interesting. Could
I
definitely
was
see some people fucking that thing, but
I was
I'm sure people who enjoyed it really enjoyed it. So,
I was joking with
but
somebody at work about we were talking about Dune and we were talking about the bucket. Um and then comment is like, "Oh yeah, it's like I want to get the bucket and extra butter, no popcorn." I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "But not for the women. No, no, for those Harkonnens. I like seeing old bald fat guys being pulled out of oil. Yeah, that's move aside, Zendaya. Get out of here, Anya Taylor-Joy. That old guy from Thor, that Skarsgård, bring that here to Papa. It's what the butters."
speaking of that moment, before we get into the plot, I just got to address one of my favorite moments of the movie that made me laugh really
Mm,
hard. So that moment where Austin Butler's character is introduced, or after the fact, and they're doing some sort of ceremony thing, and then Peter Sarsgaard's character goes and kisses him on the cheek, and
mm.
then Austin Butler's like, "Nah, fuck that pussy shit, come here." kisses him on the mouth.
Okay, can I say for like 15 minutes, I was wondering why I recognized the actor. So Austin Butler played Fade Rotha Harkonnen.
Yeah.
I thought for like 10, 15 minutes, I'm like, I know that face. Why do I know
You
that
think it was
face?
you think it was Bill Skarsgård?
No, I thought he was Nicholas Holt. For like 15 minutes. I'm like, and then I remembered Austin Butler was like at the premiere for some reason. I'm like, holy shit. He was unfucking recognizable. He was amazing in this movie.
He was great. He was great. And like even him doing the Peter Sarsgaard sort of inflection. I don't want to say his imitation, but like he talked in a similar way to him. Even that worked. He did a great job with their speech pattern.
Yeah, he
With the
did
undertone that
awesome.
he admired his uncle.
Yeah, that whole
It'll
sequence
work.
on the Harkonnen homeworld was fucking breathtaking. It was beautiful.
I didn't realize it until like maybe the second or third time I saw it, but like
Mhm.
how the Bene Gesserit, like when they went from the darkness or inside to outside, how their shit went from black to white,
Oh yeah, yeah, that was really cool. I caught that.
the
Um,
monochrome. Yeah, okay, this is dope.
what do we want to talk about in this? Oh, wait, the the funniest part because I was wondering because I saw the random promo and everything for the movie because I think I followed their social. Anya Taylor Joy was just there, and I'm just like, the fuck is Anya Taylor Joy? Oh man, she must really play a big part in this movie. She was in this movie as much as Zendaya was in the first movie.
Barely.
She
She's in less than
she
that.
was in there
She's in
less. She
like
did
10
this.
seconds.
No, Anya Taylor Joy did this. And then disappeared.
That'll be $10 million. Thank you very much.
Didn't say a goddamn word. She just she just turned. She just turned and stared into the camera in front of a river.
Like, all right, great. That's great, Anya. That's great.
Right. I'm like, did she get
You're
a
good.
trailer and
You got
everything?
all
Or
the tools we needed.
I'm like, how long did her scenes take? Because I'm just like, what was this? An hour? Max?
She was there for a day,
Yeah.
singular.
At best. More than half a day if they really needed it. She was done in a pickup. they did her in
Right.
a they did her in the volume.
Right. They did
She's
her
like,
the volume on the sound
she's like, yeah, I'm gonna be on a lunch break. I can do this.
stage. Yeah, I can swing by real quick. I
Okay.
could put you at
I
about 2:30.
I want to say something, and I want to be particular about how I say this so that it comes across as respectful. Um,
Okay.
I think Zendaya is incredibly talented. I think she's super duper beautiful. She's a great actress. She seems like a wonderful person. Definitely someone I'd love to like work with in my own career. That being said, why was this for me the hottest I've seen Zendaya?
Really? Okay.
I don't
Okay.
know why. Don't ask me to explain it. It was it's kind of that same vibe of when I'm like, you know how you look at somebody and then like they do something and you're like, hmm.
Was it the breathing scene or was it her getting back at that mama scene at the end?
Weirdly enough, it was just her hanging out on the sand dunes.
Oh, doing her little Spider-Man crotch or crouch
Yeah, it's
or
like it wasn't
chilling.
even like anything that was like super sexual or anything like that. I just found her like real maybe I don't know. Maybe I just like women that are like a little grimy. They're it's like it's a
Nah,
little
baby, leave the deodorant at home.
yeah, put that put that baggy underwater scuba suit on. Yeah, just but for
Baby, you can
the
have my
sand
water
dunes.
any day.
Yeah, just like, I don't know. Maybe I have issues that I need to go to therapy to work out. But so, I think it's because like she was responsible and confident, but like also just like a little bit of a gross real I think it's because unlike the other two movies we talked about, she was a well-defined, fleshed out character.
Mm,
But
mhm.
also she's fucking Zendaya. And she could carry a movie all by herself. But
Damn
like
straight.
I really felt her chemistry with Timony Cheru, who was very good here. You know, I don't want to. Everybody was great in this movie. Even the weirdest complaint is actually one I disagree with. A lot of people haven't liked Christopher Walken as the Emperor. I thought he was used perfectly, where
It was good. It's
he
fun.
was mostly stage presence and he didn't say too much. And I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. Everyone's like, but it's Christopher Walken. Oh, I was making an impersonation of somebody who. Oh, my bad. But I was like, no, I thought he was used perfectly in it. He just acted mostly with his face. Plus, he's a
Yeah,
emperor of space. Of course, he'd probably be old as fuck.
yeah,
Like it
makes
made
sense.
sense
I'm
to
like, I
me.
don't know if we'll see if Christopher Walker in the next one.
If he's alive,
I hope he's alive.
yeah, I
I know
want him to live.
there's gonna be a time jump between 2 and 3, but we'll see.
Well, I hope we get three just because I want to see Villeneuve do Messiah and then uh hand this off to someone else.
If they keep going after that, like,
I
I'm
don't
nervous that
I
they're gonna Messiah is gonna be one movie.
apparently Messiah, because I think I've actually seen the book. Messiah apparently is pretty short and you could do it in a movie. And I think that so the way I'm thinking of it is, and even the way the movie's kind of set up is like you have part one, part two, because the original Dune is fucking massive. And then Messiah, I think, is just gonna be one movie to close out most of this story of like the main story of like Paul Atreides. And then you have
Okay.
shit like Children of Dune and whatever the fuck comes after that from the very limited understanding I have of all the Dune bullshit. Um, but I would kind of that's kind of what I would want to see is almost like how they did John Watts did the three Spider-Man movies, and then they're gonna have somebody else do like four, five, and six. I would want them to do that with Dune. It's like, cool. Villeneuve did this. This is his vision. We aren't taking it away. He will produce four, and whoever directs it next can do it. I'm I would say James Cameron should do it, but he's doing all of his bullshit with Avatar, so he'd probably be great for it, honestly. But he's like, I want to do my own thing with water and whales in the space.
Well, I know the Dune gets pretty weird after these first couple books. Like,
Yeah, it gets
you get some
weirder.
like
I've
some
heard
some human
human
sandworm
worm
hybrid.
hybrids. Yeah, Leto the
I know
second. Heard about that.
a major I know a major Dune fan is this probably a name that you ain't heard in a while. Danica or Comic Book Girl 19.
How did you were reading my mind? Because I was like, I was looking up reviews, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I remember you. The hell happened
Right,
to you? Like
right.
she still makes videos. Like I was starting her Matrix video the other day, but she has like a whole like
She totally switched up from how she was back in the day, though.
very much.
Like, she
She has
switched up her whole con.
like a 30-part deep dive into Dune, and then has like two music albums inspired by Dune. I'm like, this girl is
Whoa,
a fan.
she a diehard. Yeah, she hated Zendaya. She did not like her in the movie, which is
Mm,
wild.
yeah.
But I think because she's so attached to how she
Mm.
envisioned Chani in her head in the books, and apparently they changed Chani from the books.
I
She's
did
not as
hear that.
outspoken
Yeah,
and like doesn't have that same viewpoint. Which I'm like, I thought she worked great in the movie. If she's
yeah.
a passive character in the book, I'm happy for the change.
I am too, because when I heard the description, and I think the issues, so the critiques I've heard from people that are fans of Dune towards the movie are mostly that, unfortunately, due to the medium of film being a visual one, you kind of have things that have to make sense. So it means that you can't do a lot of the weirder bullshit that Frank Herbert apparently originally had in an 800-page story. They had to cut out a lot and like make some things and change a lot of like character aspects. Not so that they're unrecognizable or disrespectful. It's just to make like, because let's be real, like this is a high budget AAA blockbuster Hollywood production. You can only get
Yep.
so weird versus what you can do in a book.
True. Very true.
Yeah.
I learned that what they did cut out though, which apparently was an important part, was like there was like a dinner that Paul had went to.
Mm.
Like I think maybe early on in the book that like kind of taught him the importance of like political intrigue and like doing and saying the right things within those scenarios. So I'm like, okay, I think that would have played much more into his character. I did read a well, I didn't read. I guess would you consider listening to an audiobook reading?
Yeah, I do. I do
Okay.
it all the
So
time. I
I
just
read a
finished
little bit.
View. Or sorry, one of the new
Nice.
views.
Okay. I started the Dune audiobook. I need to catch up on it. It's very dense from what I have heard.
Godspeed. That shit's like 800 pages regular.
Yeah. I think I like they do a lot with the audio design. Like there's music, the different voice actors for different characters, which is pretty cool.
Oh, good.
But it's a lot more, at least from what I've read so far, Paul comes off as a lot more bratty and like
Because isn't he 15?
tight.
Like he's an
Yeah,
actual
he's
teenager,
15.
teenager?
He's like, "Who do you think you are to come in here? I'll have my servants kill you." And like, okay, okay, kid.
Look here,
To
you
the better
big bitch.
the nerve you have. I'm like, okay, calm down.
Okay.
So part of me is like, I'm happy they took that out because it makes him a
Mhm.
little unlikable, but you also need something unlikable to so you can transform into something better. I think
Yeah.
if you start from that place, it gives you room to grow.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't say Paul was necessarily unlikable prior. He was just like a guy
He's
who was into school and like then he he was into knowledge, right?
mhm.
And then he was having these visions, and then he was very apprehensive about taking on this role and responsibility. Even though at first the first time I watched it, I was just like, okay, it doesn't make sense because like at first he's like they need like we need to get them to believe so they know so I can get to the emperor to kill him. But
Yeah.
then when he's talking to the Furman, he's like, "No, I don't want to be like I'm not your messiah. I'm just here to be a part of things." So I'm like, "Okay, so is he's playing the field, I'm taking it because he wanted that the whole
Yeah.
time."
Yeah.
Or did the Furman change his mind and he wanted to rule them and now he doesn't?
The way I kind of took it was that
Or
that
not rule
Paul,
them, but wanted to use them to
yeah,
get to the emperor.
the way I kind of looked at it is that like Paul wanted basically the people that he believed in that already believed in him, he wanted them to keep believing in him. And the people that didn't trust him, he needed them to trust him to basically have his back when he got to the emperor to basically kickstart the war. And but he wanted to, his visions were what was keeping him away from the south. But when he got his clairvoyance or whatever it was kind of called, he's like, oh, now I'm all in and I'm about to kickstart a essentially a holy war, and I already have everything I need. So it's like I think him when he takes the worm
Oh,
blood.
there's yeah, no point of no return at that point. Like
Yeah, it become
that's the skill turn.
it changes from I want to avenge my family to I want the throne.
Yeah,
But it only starts when he goes to the south because he seems like really apprehensive. He's like, no, because Chani will die, basically, and all
right.
these and all the other Fremen will die. So what's the point of like it's like I want to be able to kill the emperor on my own terms, not because the future predestines it. But it's basically it seems like him trying to fight fate, but then when he knows that he can see fate clearly, he kind of accepts it.
Yeah,
And then he
he's
starts
like, well, it
acting kind
must
of
be not
in
what I want
accordance
to
with
do.
it.
Right. Yeah, it becomes like this is my duty, not my desire.
Yeah.
Like when he's like, "I love you to the I love you to my last breath," and then
Which
immediately
was
goes
some
around and is
hard
like,
shit.
right, like I love you to the day that I. What the fuck did he say?
I think it was as
Like,
like a "I love you until my dying breath" or something.
yeah, and then immediately turn around and says,
Give
"I'll
me 4
marry
you.
your princess." I'm like, damn.
Like, he's
And I
like
thought Zendaya was really good in that moment.
She was, 'cause
And
I
some
was
her
definitely like
expressions
even I
were
was
just
sitting in the theater like,
so on.
"No." Like
Gasp.
just was like, "Oh my goodness. What?" Especially when, like, he's like, when he was about to duel, Austin Butler, and he's like, "Fine. If I defeat your ward in combat, I get her hand." And it, like, goes to Zendaya and just like,
Excuse me?
"Now,
What did he say?
wait a damn minute. I gave you my coochie, sir. We had a moment." Like, when they was fucking in the sand under that tent or whatever,
Right.
in that sort of sex, not sex.
He gave him the desert poon. You gotta
Yeah.
respect the woman.
He bust the desert doonies down,
The
and
desert toonies.
the
He gave her some of that aracusi.
the 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 he gave her the Ben and Jessup dick. Showed her why they call me Water D. But it's like I was offended for her. It's like, yes, if it's like, and if I defeat your ward, I get her hand in marriage. And it's like everybody like looks at Chani and just like, we didn't know he was gonna do that.
Oh.
And even Florence Pugh was like, what? What do you want me for? It's like bargaining chip. But apparently, like how he treats her in the books is some like low key dirty shit where it's basically just like a glorified position. And it's like, you should be proud because Chani, you get to be his honored concubine. And I'm like, who the fuck wants to be the professional side bitch? So that's why
Oh, damn. What the
when I
fuck?
heard the original and how passive she was, and then I saw this one, I'm like, well, yeah, you should write her like that because that's more realistic. I wish I would tell my partner, it's like, I love you with all of my dying breath, but I'm about to marry this other bitch.
Right.
It's
Hell no.
it's like I'm gonna kill him and marry her, and you stick around because we're still gonna we still have this. This ain't going
We
nowhere.
got this. This doesn't go away. It's just me and you
Yeah,
and
it's like
her
I'm just
sometimes, but
I'm
me
just
and you
marrying
right
her
here.
for the power, because her daddy runs shit. I'm marrying her to run the company, but you and me, we're we're locked in, So
I can never marry you, of course, but
it's like I'm
I
married
love
to
you.
her.
You know you're my day one, right?
It's like
You know,
yeah, it's you my day one. It's like no, I'm never gonna lay a finger on that ugly whore over there. But we're getting married. So that I can get the company after I take over. My hostile takeover. I'm gonna marry her. I'm gonna get the company. I'm not putting my
baby,
dick nowhere
baby,
near her because you and me, we got this. We always
we
got
got this,
sand duty
baby.
sex.
Baby, listen, listen. I got the Furman. I got the Harkonnens. I got
I
the
got the.
Empire. Baby, look, say hello to my elite employees.
You've been promoted. That's basically what he tried to do. You've been promoted to concubine. I would leave that shit too. The fuck? Got me
Hell
out here
no.
looking stupid.
Got me
Absolutely.
fucked all the way up.
Everybody was bowing down after he killed the palest man alive. That was a good fight, though. I did like that fight.
It was a great fight. Yeah, no music. And I like how Austin Butler said, you fought well, Atreides, both when he killed the other dude and when he died.
Yeah, he was fucking insane, but he had the concept of respect him. So it's like, okay.
Oh, I thought there was some not undertext, what is it? Undertones, like when he said that he his weaknesses were sex and humiliation, and then he killed his mom. I was just like, did this nigga try to fuck his mom and killed her because she didn't want him? That's what I
Probably.
thought there was something to say.
I kind of got that vibe too, but especially when like the one young Jesseric girl was just like, I found his weakness. The bloodline is secured. I'm like, God damn! Like this nigga's weak. Saw her pull her
He was
bloomers
into that
down, and
shit.
he said, started going feral.
That wasn't a test, that was foreplay. That
Right.
was
It was. Didn't she have him like sucking her toes or some shit like that?
I don't think they mentally probably, but I don't think they went that far. She was
Oh,
like
I don't
he was
remember.
walking down the hallway, and then she's doing the mind reading shit. And then he's like, "Where are we?" She's like, "We're in my quarters, in the guest quarters." And then she opened the door, then he follows her in there, and she's like, "Use the Ben and Gesserit voice, get on your knees." And then he does, and then she puts the needle in his hand in the box,
That's what it was. That's what it was.
and then she secures
There
the
were no
package.
feet sucking at all. That just seems like something that maybe he'd do.
I feel like either their sex was wild or he lasted like two pumps. Just like-
Just ah ah ah. And she over here like bloodline secure, just unmoving, unflinching.
no, he's gonna come in two pumps and act like he didn't and try to keep going.
Stay right there.
No, no, he can't. He can't. No, because if it was only two pumps, then he would have killed her because he'd be embarrassed, and
That's true.
he doesn't want humiliation, so he had to last a little longer than
He
two
probably
pumps.
did some insane next level like BDSM shit, and then just coming back on niggas like bloodline secured. I got the seed from the boy. He's weak. I made him eat my kuda cat from the back, as well he should. Yeah, no, and Lady Jessica was on one this fucking movie with that
Oh,
fucking
she was a trip. She was like, oh,
that baby.
she switched up hard after that baby.
I ain't
After that
seen
baby got
brown
that
face in
juice.
a minute.
She was talking like Gollum and shit. Like, oh, like, what the fuck?
It's like my baby says that, do it now. Protect the child.
She was
Had all them
Palpatine.
She had all them face tattoos and everything and had all the brown people protecting her. I'm just like, oh, okay.
Okay,
I see
we're
what we're
doing
doing with this story here. The
right.
innocent pregnant white lady, like, protect me and the child. Get us out of here.
I like how the original Ben and Gesserit of Arrakis was like, "Oh, we fucked up. She pregnant," and then she died immediately.
so
And that was the day we knew we fucked up.
okay, it took me like a little bit of digging. Did you understand how he was related to the Harkonnens?
Yeah, because his mom was the Baron's daughter, so
Yeah.
he's Baron was his grandfather.
Yeah, that shit took me a second to make sense of because I thought they were implying some weird incest bullshit. But so the thing is, what the Bene Gesserit had planned was that the Harkonnens and the Atreides would like each have a kid of a different sex, and then those kids were supposed to mate and have the another child that would like drink the poison and have all the superpowers. They were supposed to have because apparently they can pick the gender of the baby in the womb. But
Oh,
Lady Jessica decided instead of having a girl, she wanted a boy and she wanted to kind of speed things up a bit. So she basically cut, and that's why the Bene Gesserit are all pissed at her because she did what
oh,
they were kind of planning to do too early and not the way they did it, but she got the results quicker. So they have like
oh,
this boy with the powers that all the space witches have, which is what they wanted between the two houses, but they did it too soon. So that's why they needed the bloodline from the other Harkonnen boy. So they could still try and
oh.
follow through on their plan.
I did not get that.
I didn't get that
In the
too, like a lot of videos. I'm like, oh, because I'm like, the fuck are these witches planning? Trying to get the nuts from the two families. So it's like, yeah. So that's why that is how it is. This is one of the few movies where it's like I feel like you kind of got to do a little background research. 'Cause it's good. It's great. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Beautiful visuals. I haven't seen.
So did you get the fact that something I had to do research on?
Mm,
So apparently the because I remember I caught it the second time I heard it. Like this is just your Ben and Gesserit propaganda. So
mm.
the Messiah was something that was planted in the idea of that was planted on Arrakis like generations
Yeah,
ago
yeah.
as like a failsafe in case someone came to Arrakis. they would be chilling because the people there believe that they'd be the Messiah,
Yeah.
rather than there being like a real Messiah. So the whole concept of Messiah was fabricated by the Bene
Yeah,
Gesserit
by
from
the
the
Bed and
beginning,
Gesserit. Yeah.
which is
I
wild.
I picked that up too, but it's not from the movie. I think that also came from me, like, looking stuff up, um, after the fact.
No, I sent that. I think I sent that TikTok explaining all of
Yeah,
the
maybe, yeah,
background.
and that might have been I might have watched something before. I might have watched, like, Danica's video or something like that where she but I definitely heard it from that
I was like,
I
oh,
didn't.
okay, I didn't get that at all from the movie.
Yeah, where it's like, I know the premise with, like, Paul Atreides is basically, in Dune Messiah is one big cautionary tale about, like, prophecies and, I think more, eh, whether intentional or not, like, white saviors
Yeah,
as, like,
this is not a
representations of
white savior narrative. No, this is not
it's
a good thing that's happened.
yeah, it's like it's so and I worry about people misunderstanding that it's like, "Oh, yeah, Paul is a white savior." It's like, he is, but it's not a good thing that he's a white
Right.
savior. It's actually an issue because he's about to start a whole war in the name of what he believes is right from his visions, and he's dragging a shit ton of, like, easily swayed brown people into it by, like, performing miracles, everything that's been coordinated by a bunch of old white women that just like to maintain political power.
Mm,
So it's
wow.
like this entire shit is like it's the systemic structuring and manufacturing of putting him at the right place at the right time to do and lead these people the way that he wants to do and lead them. Um
Yeah.
Man, fucking what's his name? Uh the bald headed dude, the other Harkonnen was getting fucking disrespected left and fucking right. Dave
Oh,
Bautista.
Batista.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rabin.
he beat the shit out of that one dude in the beginning, though. I was like, God damn, he like
He
hit his head on the thing like fucking 5 times or five
he
hundred times.
he did, and then Fade fucking sunned his own uncle who's like, lick my boot and you live.
Well, I thought they were brothers.
Oh, they are brothers. I think they're brothers.
No, yeah, he said he like kissed my foot, brother. I'm like, oh,
Uh,
okay, interesting. And then I thought he died
yeah,
really fast. I was like, oh, I thought that was a little anticlimactic how Josh Brolin killed him. He like whooped him in like 2 seconds, like quick time event.
I I didn't mind it just because like I know I think it's just fun to have a little bit of not suspension of disbelief, but it's like I think that's more a subversion of expectation where it's like, oh man, is this going to be some? It's like, oh shit, all right, well, put in work. Like, I
Go
kind
off,
of respect
man.
that he got rid of him quick. He said, "I'm not wasting any
Damn.
time on you. I'm not going to drag this out longer than it needs to be." Die. And I'm like, "Oh, that's
Oh,
good then."
I guess Thanos killed Drax in 2 seconds. Okay,
Yeah, got his lick back.
his look back. Shit.
Um,
Damn.
and I hadn't watched the original, so when Josh Brolin's character showed up, I'm like, he looks familiar. I feel like I saw him in the first one, but I thought he died. No, he lived. Oh yeah, and it like came back to me.
Oh, you didn't do a rewatch of the first one?
I was thinking of it. I just wasn't able to find the time. I wanted to. Um,
Yeah, some of the info.
yeah. And then what'd you think about Florence Pugh's character?
I mean, she's barely in it, so she was fine. Like I know she's been a Desert. I think that's interesting. I think she's gonna play more of a plot in the third one,
Yeah.
more into it because I feel like okay, she's a princess, but she's also been a Jesuit. So like, how is this gonna play? Like I'm into the political intrigue of it. It's like it very much reminds me of Game of Thrones in that way. It's like
Mhm.
a weirder version of Star Wars mixed with Game of Thrones,
Mm,
but inspired both of those things. I'm sure in some degree.
yeah. Um,
Star Wars more than Game of Thrones.
yeah, there's watching this definitely made me realize where a lot of like other movies have gotten their influence, like the religious zealot things that we see with God, I'm forgetting the character's name, the one that kept Dick riding Atreides. That's just Morpheus in the Matrix. That's where that comes from. Like the spice and a bunch of the political bullshit. That's all Star Wars, clearly. Um, the dunes. What do you think about the sandworm sequences? I thought those were great.
I thought it was great too. I thought they captured them very well. The effects in them looked incredible. Now, did you see this movie in IMAX? Or you saw it
No,
in regular?
I saw it at a Alamo, so it was still huge.
Okay.
I was
So it's funny
front
because
row in
I saw
Alamo.
this movie so I saw this movie the first time I saw it at IMAX's headquarters, and it was a big screen. It was not the as big as you'd expect an IMAX headquarters screen to be, but it was still of size.
Mhm,
Second time I saw it, I saw it like a week or maybe like 5 days later, and I saw it at a regular showing.
mhm.
Third time I saw it, interestingly
You
enough,
watched this
I
3
saw it
times?
seen it 3 times because I saw it for a Real Rejects fan screening where we
Oh,
watched it with the
okay.
fans. Then I took some friends to go see it, and then I saw it with another friend who didn't really care too much for Dune, but I was like, "Go watch it. Rewatch the first one so we can watch the second one."
Mhm,
So so I've seen it 3 times, but it's funny because luckily I live in an area where there's like within my house there's like 4 AMC's in under 5 miles.
mhm.
So we watch it at the one that's closest to us, and like we get to the third act, and all of a sudden the screen stops and the lights come up, and like, I'm sorry, there's been an emergency at the theater. We need to evacuate. So then we leave the theater. And they give us free tickets, and they're like, "Oh damn." Because we went to an IMAX screening, so they gave us like all exclusive tickets for like any showing. So then, like, oh, that sucks. Do you want to go to the other theater and finish the movie? He was like, I was like, yeah, let's go. So then we go, and it was interesting watching it because I've seen it already, so I know what it looks like both in traditional and both in IMAX. It was my first
Right.
time watching it from IMAX and then finishing it in a traditional one, and the cropping is noticeable. The fact that it's a shorter frame
Mm,
because the sandworms' heads are cut off at the top of the frame. I'm like, oh, I remember this looking different because we had to rewatch it like from the point where Paul took the poison,
right.
and the movie cut off at the point where like the thumpers were going off and they're about to like invade the Emperor's place. So there was like a
Yeah.
good like 20 minutes that we rewatched going into it. So I'm like, watching it again, I'm like, yeah, this movie's meant to be seen in IMAX because like you really get the full scope of everything because it's just such an epic uh, movie
Yeah.
with all its visuals. Also, can we just shout out that one motherfucker that got blasted by the bazooka and then exploded on the side of the fucking ship?
No, shout outs to, the one Fremen that got up there and nearly got Dave Batista. He was fucking terrified, just like, "Ah!" just the terror in his
Are you talking
eyes.
about when he was on the ship?
Yeah, when he was flying and there's like,
I think that was Shawnee. That was Zendaya.
I thought it was, but I think she died. Like, whoever got shot died. Because I thought it was her too. I'm like, "What the there ain't no
No,
way
I
they
think
killed
she
her."
just flew off. She just like kind of floated back into the sand.
How the fuck would she live from that height?
I don't know. She's Furman. She got ways.
I think that was somebody else that just vaguely looked brown like Zendaya did, or like Chani did.
Maybe Shawnee. That's there. It is.
Yeah.
I don't. They got technological suits. Also, apparently in the Dune world, this is like 10,000 years in the future, and apparently computers aren't a thing anymore in this world because like there's an AI war, and they like humans won, so they stopped fucking with computers. Like it's some real shit. Like look it up.
I
I'm like,
believe you. I that explains why they write that weird ass language on them little funky ass scrolls and just like
right.
little fucking obtuse shits.
I will say there is one part in the movie where Christopher Walken's like more, and I wanted so bad to say cowbell. I'm like, someone needs to make that edit with
Oh, that
the
would be funny.
when
Give
it
it
goes to
time.
DVD.
Give it
Give it time.
give it a couple months.
Someone's gonna make the musical version of it. Or just like uh not musically. Oh, where'd he go?
I'm still
There
here.
he is.
I'm still here.
Yeah, like the remix version where it's like it's him from Dune but mixed with the SNL sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie's great.
It's
It's well
fantastic.
acted, great visuals, great music. It's just a well captured piece of movie.
Yeah, this is some high high grade good shit right here. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy I saw it. I hope Villeneuve gets a chance to do Messiah and close this out as kind of a his own trilogy on his terms. If Godzilla versus Kong can get a sequel, I think this can go on.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now I wonder if he's going to call it Dune Messiah or if he's going to call it Dune Part Three.
what if it's Doom Part Three Messiah?
That yeah, you could do that too, in the middle ground.
And then you could do like I think Children of Dune is the next one. It could be
Some
one.
tells me they're going to stop it at three,
I
unless the next one was fucking bank.
I am perfectly fine with them stopping at three, but if they do Children and God Emperor, if if they're feeling froggy, they could do the other four, but I'd want somebody else to do it. Um, I don't know who. Have to be somebody like supremely talented. I would. mm, mm. A part of me wants to say Gareth Edwards,
Ooh,
but I think he'd need the right screenwriting team because his movies are visually fantastic. His narratives are not the best.
mm,
like
okay.
like Villeneuve, I think balances both very well. I love Edwards like directing and filmmaking and his visual work. He should be up there with Villeneuve, but his whoever is he worked with writing wise, like Godzilla Rogue One, uh, I think have writing issues, and then I really like the creator. Apparently, it was just me.
I like the creator. I didn't love it. Um,
Yeah. So
Also, speaking of Dune,
yeah,
there's Dune Prophecy coming out this year, a series about
yeah.
Dune.
It's about
Did
the
you know
Bene
about that? I'm
Gesserit.
reading it. Yeah, it was originally called Dune Sisterhood, but they changed it to Dune Prophecy.
Yeah.
And I'm reading the premise now. Set 10,000 years before the events of Dune, the series follows sisters Velia and Tula Harkonnen as they combat forces that threaten the future of humankind and establish the fabled sect known as the Bene Gesserit.
Mm.
I'm in. I'm down
Um.
for it.
No, yeah, I'm definitely invested.
10,000 years in the past? Yeah, it's a very different kind of story.
We're also getting a Dune video game. I think it's called Awakening.
I'm here for it. I'm down.
It actually looks pretty good. I think it's an MMO, but
Wait, oh, the trailer's already out?
two trailers actually. I think they just
Really?
dropped another one this past week.
Oh, shit. I
So
did not know about this.
yeah.
It's an MMO, huh? On Arrakis. Is Timothy Chalamet in it? What's the game called?
Dune Awakening. It
Awakening.
looks all right. Also, apparently, as of last month, we get Lego Dune.
Oh, damn.
That's our clue to maybe wrap it up. Just to wrap it
Yeah.
up, so we
So,
can wrap our ass to bed.
I
Um,
was like, I'm tired of y'all niggas. Wrap this shit up.
she said, "All right, enough,
All right.
enough." I
Now.
said, "All right now, all right now."
I had a feeling this is how it's going to go. Not with it rapping, but I'm like, oh, we're talking about Madam Web, Magical Negroes, and Dune. Yeah, each of these are going to be an hour.
a smooth hour and a half, as usual, as our episodes usually are. No, I don't know. Anything else to say about Dune? It's a great time, and you should see it in theaters.
It's a great time. This is the movie you should see in theaters. There's no other movies in theaters that are playing right now, so you might as well go see this one. No movies about a web or magical Negroes. Nope, just sand motherfuckers and prophecies. That's the only thing worth
Yep.
your time. And hopefully, as of recording this, some busting of ghosts will be worth your time as well.
I hope that's good, and I hope Godzilla X Kong is good. Those are two movies that I've been looking forward to for a long time. It is weird
I
that
will
it
likely not see those in theaters. I will probably. have to react. Not have to, but I'll probably react to those movies.
It is weird that in 1984, 2021 and 2024, Dune, Ghostbusters, and Godzilla were all in theaters.
Really? In '84?
Yeah.
Holy fuck!
I think there
That's
is literally a movie called Godzilla 1984. Yeah,
that's
Return of Godzilla.
'84.
Yeah. And it
40 years
came,
ago.
yeah.
That's 40
It
years, right?
ugh, you're right. Ugh, don't
Oh,
like that.
we weren't even alive then.
I know, but it feels old. My got sisters born in the 80s.
Oh damn,
Was it
84.
84 or yeah, yeah, yeah. They were all in theaters then. That's it's weird that it happened once, twice is a coincidence, three times. That's a strange pattern. No, it was in Japanese theaters, but it was in theaters. Not oh no, language is Japanese, Russian, English. It was in theaters. It just barely made it. It was in December of 1984.
Oh wow,
But
it's a
that's
shame that Fantastic Four didn't come out in 2024.
yeah,
But
yeah. Not gonna get that chance again. But oh well.
now they're keeping up with the tradition of every iteration coming out in a year that ends with five.
It's just fucking weird.
Weird
That's
as
even
fuck.
weirder than being in the ones with the four.
The only one that ended with four was the '90s
The
one.
yeah, the one from '94, which yeah,
I'm like, all right, we'll see what they do.
yeah.
But yeah, go check out Dune.
Go check out Dune. Dune is good. Yeah, let's close things out. Where can't did we talk about Fantastic Four before we get out of here?
The casting,
Yeah, I
oh,
don't think we didn't because it was
we did not.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, we. Yep, 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 yep.
Never had a
We can
chance to
talk
talk
about it
about
real
it.
quick. Um, you know what? These I was like kind of underwhelmed at first, but these fan edits on Instagram are winning me over. So I'm like, okay,
I'm
I'm curious.
I'm kind of two minds about it. It's like Vanessa Kirby. I haven't seen her act, but she looks just like Susan, so that's easy.
Yeah,
Uh, Old boy from The Bear. He's a good actor. I have seen him. Those two are slam dunks.
yeah.
Um, who's our boy? Not Oscar Isaac.
Ronnie. Oh,
Before
Pedro
we get to
Pascal.
Johnny, Pedro is a safe bet. He's an easy money maker. He's making a lot
Yep.
of money. He was rumored. So I'm like, okay, he's not a bad pick for Reed.
Part of me wishes they would have picked Patrick Wilson though. I feel like he looks like the. I think he would have been a good read. He looks like
He,
it. He's not as popular,
um,
but I feel like Patrick Wilson has the look for a Reed Richards, and he's a good actor.
I'm I'm struggling to see it. I'm sorry, I can't see it.
His face.
Yeah, I can't see him for Reed.
What was the last thing you saw, man?
I mean, probably Aquaman, but no trailers for the Red Door.
Oh,
He's not
okay.
he's not a bad looking guy. It's
Look
hard
at
for me to see him
temples.
as like Reed.
Fine, Adrian Brody.
I mean, sure,
Like that's easy.
the proto Adam Driver.
Proto
th-
Adam Driver, I guess. They look nothing
the
alike, but I get what you're saying.
yeah, it's just dark hair and big noses. Shouts to the big nose community. I I really can't think of anyone else who could play. I mean, I know who I would want to play Reed, but it's like that's different than like who realistically could have slotted in that's like big enough that's like a draw. Because I
We're
think
gonna see.
Pedro is basically the draw. He's
Yeah,
the
Petro would be
you
the
know
draw.
he's huge right now, so it's a sinker. The one I'm iffy on is I'm trying to figure out how to talk about this while paying the giving the actors due credit because he's a good actor. He's a very good actor.
We haven't seen him in much, so we don't know his range per se.
That's true. Like I saw him in Stranger Things, and I thought he was great, despite the fact that I thought he looked 30 playing 18. But other than that, he was good. He was good as Eddie. Um,
But that's the thing. That's the only thing we most of us have seen him in. So we don't know how he'd play
yeah.
Johnny.
Well, so my thing is because my partner and I went back and watched the original, not the original, sorry, the Tim Story Fantastic Four movies. So the first one in Rise of the Silver Surfer, and then even when I think about um uh the 2015 one when it was Michael B. Jordan, and then the old torch was Chris Evans, and even in like the 90s one, it was like some blonde, dreamy boy. So he seems like an out of place pick because it's very much making the Fantastic Four contemporary, and
Well, they're trying to do the '60s thing from the looks of that picture.
that's I mean I feel like in terms of like casting it, they're casting it in a contemporary sense. You know, you got the
Uh,
person of color as a read, which is all fine by me. They had that in the old one too with Jessica Alba, but
True.
but I think that the thing is Hollywood is in a evolution of casting people based off more than just their aesthetic attraction. I know that's ironic given we had a whole conversation about Sydney Sweeney.
Hmm.
So he feels like the one where it's like, oh wow, he really must have like slammed that audition.
I feel like he did. He's not conventionally like the hot dude, but
And I think that's why
I feel like
people
he
are
has to be.
struggling to see him as Johnny, because even in the shitty Fantastic Four, they got a really hot dude.
He really
Johnny's
has to have the charisma to carry it. I'm sure it's like a
his charisma is probably through the roof. Like I know he's a good actor. I'm not worried about his talent. This is a talented cast. Um I'm worried about selling so here's what I think part of it is, and I think the bear brought this to my attention. People want people with, and Mr. and Miss Smith did this too. They want
another one we didn't talk about.
which that'll be a whole other conversation. I thought we did, but it turns out we didn't. We talked texted about it, but we didn't like talk.
Right.
Um so that's what it was. I was talking with like my cast about this. I think Hollywood is in an interesting place now where in an effort to be more inclusive, they're also doing a greater job at like casting people for talent for parts versus for like just aesthetics that happen to
Mhm.
have enough talent. You know, because there are a lot of people in the past that's like motherfuckers could just couldn't act. They're just a pretty face. But now they're like, it's like, no, you got to go more grounded and realistic. But you still need a six pack. So you got a bunch of people with regular faces with like nice bodies.
Yeah.
And Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I think, was the epitome of that. Because Donald Glover and Maya Erskine, attractive people, but they're like obtainable attractive.
Yeah. They're not
Like
like superstar attractive for sure.
no, it's like Donald Glover is handsome. Maya Erskine was like, you know, the first couple episodes. We're not gonna get all into that, but it's just like, just for example's sake, I'm like, oh yeah, it's like, oh yeah, she looks, you know, nice, and I mean, she's here to act. That's really what I'm focusing on, is like the story and the character. And then she showed up for like that dinner sequence, and I was like, hmm, she looks pretty good there.
Well, good, right?
Yeah, it's like I'd say what's up to her. It's like it's like an achievable attractiveness, and I think that's the vibe that new Johnny gets, which is very much like a lot of women are attracted to line cooks that go to therapy. Basically, is what a lot of these motherfuckers look like. That's what Jeremy Allen White looks like to me. Talented as
Speaking of,
fuck. He can
yeah,
act his ass off. He looks like a line chef from New York, and I won't let
totally.
other people live that down. That
He's
motherfucker can
obtainable,
act.
regular guy, attractive.
Yeah, he just has a six pack.
Yeah.
He great body, normal dude face. It's not like when I
Okay.
went back and watched old Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I'm like, oh, these motherfuckers were hot.
Right.
They were
Movie
sex. That's
star.
what it is. That's what it is. They have actors are still attractive,
Right.
but there's not a lot of actors that are like sexy. Like
Actors
se-
are attractive. Movie stars are hot.
yeah, like remember Will Smith in I Am Legend, specifically that when he was like working out shirtless and doing like the pull-ups and he was
Mhm.
glistening with like sweat and oil. That was sexy.
Right.
Angelina Jolie in Laura Croft Tomb Raider, that was sexy. But it's like Chris Evans naked in a pool of ice in Fantastic Four, just like, oops, here goes your boy. Like that's some sexy shit. And then they get this guy who's handsome and can act down for sure. I'm almost certain he can. And it's like, oh yeah, he's good looking. He's a good looking guy.
I don't think anybody in this Fantastic Four is like super like that movie star hot. I feel like they tried to go for that
No,
for the first one. Like Jessica Alba in those movies was hot.
she was a smoke show. Her
He
and
was a
Johnny made
he was
sense.
a
It's like, I see
childhood
why
of
y'all related. Y'all both fine as hell.
right. No, Mr. Fantastic, the guy who played him was very handsome. She was really
Yeah.
hot. Johnny
Even
was hot.
yeah.
And then
Like even Kerry Washington was in those movies. She played the Thing's girlfriend.
yeah,
That's Kerry fucking Washington playing
yeah.
a blind
Girl
person, but
Washington's
hey.
hot too.
Yeah, it's like hot as hell. It's like, it's like we don't really have like hot actors. Like we don't have
Right,
like sexy actors. We have hot actors. There's still like hot people in Hollywood,
let's be
but there's
real.
not
No
like
one
sexy.
exactly. People are all in the Pedro Pascal right now, but like no one was looking at that nigga 20 years ago. Like it's now that he's entered his 50s, his like fatherly era.
But
People are
because
like, oh,
he looks like a
looks like a
dad that'll
regular dude.
like he looks like the father that left you. Like he looks like he looks like he gives you a
He looks like
attaboy.
the father that left you.
He looks like he got either give you an attaboy or a spanking and you'll listen to him.
He looks
Like
like
it
he'll offer you one of those cigarettes he said he was going to pick up.
yeah, it's like he has good looking dad energy, which is fine. But there's just like, it's like again, they're hella attractive people. They're hella hot people in Hollywood. But we haven't had like a like sex symbol in a while. Probably because of misogyny, so.
I feel like Sydney Sweeney's that, but also
I
speaking
think they're
back.
trying to make her that just because she has big
Well, here's the
boobs
thing,
and
right?
in a very good face. She has a
Yeah,
gorgeous face.
I feel as though remember how I said earlier, like Sydney Sweeney doesn't feel like traditional like Hollywood movie star
Yeah,
acting. She feels like indie acting. Like I feel
yeah,
like Sydney Sweeney would work really great on The Bear.
absolutely. I fully
I
agree
feel
with
like
you 100%.
she
She
her type of
would,
acting fits that show very well. Would fit
and I
that
think
very
that's
well.
the thing is like Sydney Sweeney is beautiful and has big boobs, but that's not the only thing that like makes somebody sexy. There's an energy to it.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
like I think Billie Eilish very attractive. Holly Bailey very attractive. Megan Thee Stallion sexy as fuck. Like,
She got it. She got the
yeah,
energy.
like if Meg the Stallion popped up as Susan Storm, it was like shit. How the hell did this? How the hell did he bag her? But then you see Vanessa Kirby and Pedro Pascal, you're like, oh yeah, no.
They're
You see that?
attractive.
It's like they're attractive, they're good looking. It's the same thing for the guy playing Johnny. It's like yeah, he's a good looking guy, but it's like I think when people think of Johnny, they think a sexy dude, a sexy dumbass, well not a dumbass, but like a sexy himbo type dude.
Like they were gonna cast, like for example, like this is like maybe 10 years earlier, right? Like when they were casting Fan Four Stick, like what's his
Yeah,
name? Efron would have been great for Johnny Storm.
yeah. I was hoping for a Ray Montgomery, the dude that played he was Billy in Stranger Things. He was the brother, the one that got possessed,
He would have been
the one
great
that looked
too.
like
He
Zac
would have been
Efron. Yeah, it's like
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. If I think Efron's one of the last few, not in the Iron Claw, but like before that, it's like he definitely had a season where he was like sexy, and
And then there was that other
now he's just
guy,
hot and
right? And there was
swole.
that actor they were thinking about casting, like back when we thought the Margot Robbie and Adam Driver were gonna be it. Paul Mescal.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's skating with AO right now. Look like I think they like might be a thing or something.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's handsome. I don't get I get leading man from him for sure, but not like sexy ass dude.
Let's
Uh,
see.
honestly,
Yeah,
him
he's
and
more
Ao,
handsome.
yeah, he's a handsome guy, but him and Ao more so give me vibes of like the Thing and his girlfriend.
Okay.
He looks like he could play Ben Grimm.
Okay, I can see it. Yeah, he's more attractive than he is cute. Also, speaking of the whole hot body, like the body mix thing. Do you know what I'm about to say?
What?
Fucking what's his name? Fucking Saltburn ass.
Oh God,
We were all into
Superior
that
Ezra
motherfucker.
Miller.
Superior Ezra
They
Miller.
look the same. Barry
He's
Keegan.
I was he's
Oh wait,
very
no,
cute.
no, not
Though.
Barry Keegan. I mean, Barry Keegan is Superior Ezra Miller, but the nigga from Euphoria, that guy's sexy.
Oh, you're talking about Jacob Belordi?
Elordi. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. He
yeah.
him is a, ooh, he does not look good with a mustache. But if he was Johnny, th- he doesn't. Like him,
He's
I
too
could see
damn
him
tall to be
playing like a Johnny if he was blonde.
I don't want him to be Johnny. He's too damn big. I
What's the
I have a
what's
weird
what you mean he's too damn big?
this thing is 6'5", bro. This thing is taller than
Okay,
me.
okay, and you don't think women want to climb that nigga like a pole?
A tall ass something
Look,
about a Johnny Storm that's taller than the Thing and Mr. Fantastic rubs me the wrong way.
I mean that's what the cameras are for. But look up Jacob Elordi blonde, and you can't tell me that that's not like a hot jockey dude that would like definitely yell "flame on" and fuck these women and get this money.
The mustache, stupid. There's no blonde version of him. Oh yeah, no.
Not hating it.
Mm.
But I think he's like a sexy dude. Maybe he's not Johnny, but it's like there's not a lot of Hollywood ain't really sexy like it used to be. It's more for like we got attractive and we got hot. So we'll give you a nice face or a nice face and an amazing body. But you don't see a lot of IG baddies making it to like Hollywood roles. At least not currently.
So is Ryan Gosling actually attractive, or is he just the type of roles he plays makes him attractive?
I think he is actually attractive. Like he's okay. Ryan Gosling is definitely hot. He could be sexy. But I think because of the roles he picks, he's trying to not get typecast as a sexy guy much. But he did like the fucking Notebook.
So a movie I still have yet to see.
I think that's fine. But yeah, it's like no, Ryan Gosling is definitely like he's a pretty sexy dude. Like he's like the evolution of Freddie Prince Jr.
Okay, I can see it. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
I will
it's like
give you that.
yeah, he's a hot guy when he has hair. If he doesn't have hair, he looks like a skinhead. But as long as he
Uh,
has hair, he looks great. Like he's great body, good jaw. He looks like he's like a safe masculinity. Like he could talk to you about bell hooks and be like, yeah, for sure. No, yeah, I really love the will to change. Like the black man's plight in America is a really difficult one to understand. It's like, wow, this guy really knows his stuff. Like,
speaking of Fantastic Four, did you watch the movie The Holdovers?
no, I still need to see it.
Oh, fuck. Okay, never mind. 'Cause I was gonna say the kid who acts against Paul Giamatti. If that motherfucker was like 10, 15 years older, I think he'd make a good Reed Richards.
Is it Dominic Sessa?
Is that his name?
Kid got some sideburns. Good lord.
Oh, Holdovers. Yep, Dominic Sessa. Oh shit,
Yeah.
he
Oh
is
yeah. I
much.
see exactly what you're talking about. He got that
Yeah.
Reed jawline.
Yeah, he's got the lankiness down. He has like the nerdiness thing going for him. Like I think he'd make a good read. He's just a
You know
little young.
what? I'm about to say some crackhead shit. If
Say
they were ever gonna do like an ultimate read, I wouldn't mind seeing Justice Smith as like an ultimate read. I saw I saw stress come into your spirit. I said it was some crackhead shit. Maybe because I'm tired and I'm
Oh,
just saying words.
oh, okay, Dave Chappelle.
You
Oh
looked at me
man.
like a goddamn psychopath. You're like, why would you say that? Don't put that on him.
Oh Lord. I don't want it. I don't want it.
Not not like grown ass mature bearded Reed. I mean like ultimate X-Men
What look?
early.
What look for Justice Smith would you impose for this? Because I'm having a hard time seeing it. Because the only one that's coming up for me right now is Aaron, and I'm like, I can't see that look for him as Reed Richards with the low cut. Nah.
No, he'd definitely have to like grow his hair out a little. I mean, like looking. No, you know what he would have. He would have that fucking Smash Bros. Player cut because you know why he's in the lab all day. He ain't focused on his hairline. That should be shit would look like mine does now, scraggly. Like,
No, I want this. I want this. This Dominic Sessa kid. He looked like he could be a scientist.
I mean, he does. He looks like he be yapping about beakers and shit. It's like, well, if you add the chlorine to the fluorine and the fluoride and the hydrogen particles here, and it's like, all right, bro, this is
All
saying
right,
shit.
chill. Killed all that.
I'm like, all right,
Relax,
shut it down,
nigga.
shut it down. Actually, yeah, that Dominic Sessa dude does look like Ultimate Reed.
Yeah, I can see him making a heel turn easily.
Yeah, this motherfucker looks like he could turn evil. Oh my god! All right,
Because he
I
has the.
think that.
Yeah, I think that's it too. But he has the. Yeah, I think he has the look and he has the lankiness that I'd expect from a Reed. And
Mm.
Pedro Pascal isn't a lanky guy necessarily, so I'm curious
No,
to see.
he's a little stocky. I'd be a little
Exactly.
scared of his read. He looked like he just like he might actually fist fight Doom.
Right. Right in the streets.
But
Yeah.
all right, where can the people find you at, brother?
They could find me at the Instagram at the real Aaron Alexander, spelled real like the real life. And then you can find me at the TikToks with at the real Aaron Alexander, like film reel. And yeah, those are my main spots that I be.
Ooh. And if you're looking for me, you can find me on YouTube at Will the Greatest. You can find me on TikTok at Will the Greatest. Uh, and sometimes you can find me on our friend DJ's podcast over at Review and New. What was the last thing we did? Schoolboy Q's album, which was super I. Be going. Actually, I'll be talking about Dune again this weekend, so that should be fun. But yep, thank y'all for listening. Don't forget to like the show, share the show with your friends, rate the show 5 stars, leave a comment with the hashtag AskAce. Maybe we'll answer it on the phone. That's God calling, telling us to wrap it up. So just saying that. Don't forget to turn on notifications, like the show, share the show, rate it 5 stars, and we will see you all in the future when we have more stuff to talk about. Maybe we'll do Mr. and Mrs. Smith.